Elf I am the protagonist template, Invincible Chapter 81 100. Chapter 81, The Monsters Gathered Together, The Arrival of Sharona. Please subscribe. Because as the guardian elf Hudi's hand, Radha did not receive too serious injuries. However, this also means that in this battle, the outcome is already divided. Open black lens bracket. You commanded Laplace to defeat the green Lada, and you got a little gain. Close black lens bracket. Ding, trigger the super growth buff and then increase it. Open black lens bracket. The increase is 3 times close black lens bracket. Congratulations, battle experience +1 5 times 3, Laplace experience value +10 times 3, boulder proficiency +1 x 3, call proficiency +1 times 3, water wave proficiency +1 x 3, freezing light proficiency +1 times 3, waterfall climbing proficiency +1 times 3. The second wave increased by 3 times. Not bad though. But not to the extent that Laplace made the cut. You must buy one for the skill CD of the stand-in trick, as well as hold and shadow clones. These skills are very important to complement the elves. Looking back, Baizi pondered in his heart. Although this battle was won, it also revealed a general weakness of Baizi's holding a elf. That is, there is more than enough offense and defense, but the room for turning around is very insufficient. Once forced into a desperate situation, most of the time, you can only resort to reckless methods, and there is no life-saving trick that can be used as a Jedi counterattack or confuse people. 307. The other side. After simply dealing with Lada's injury, Qinglu also came to Baizi's side. Congratulations, Baizi, who has temporarily become the #1 trainer in Junxin Town. Oh. Baizi was stunned when he heard the words. I thought he knew that he had defeated Kai before. But then, he saw Qinglu pointing at him and said with a serious look, after defeating this uncle, you are naturally the strongest trainer in Junxin Town. The corner of Baizi's mouth twitched, but it really seemed like a turquoise style. But, as a childhood sweetheart from childhood to adulthood, he is very clear that Qinglu's mood at this time is not as calm as he looks on the surface. Because Qinglu, this guy, has a strong self-esteem that is far superior to ordinary people. I was beaten 3-0 by myself in one breath. I am sure it won't feel good. Next, I'm going to go to the Golden City to challenge Nazi in the Super Power Gym, and then go to the nearby Lost Forest to find Kathy. How about you? Qinglu asked casually. My words should stay here for a day. Baizi shrugged. This battle has been fruitful, and I have to digest it well. Is that so? Qinglu nodded thoughtfully, then pulled the bag, turned around and said goodbye. Then let's say goodbye, and look forward to our goodbye at the Quartz Conference. When the time comes, whether it's you or Kai. Speaking of this, Qinglu's footsteps paused, turned his head slightly, and issued a battle note to Baizi. I will be completely defeated. I'll wait and see. The corner of Baizi's mouth showed a smile. He knew better than anyone how fast red and green were progressing, adding himself and the blue that might appear in the arena. Gee. I'm afraid this will be the highest spec Quartz Conference. At that time, when the monsters from Junxin Town gather together and burst out with unimaginable combat power, everyone will be shocked by it, right? He's already starting to look forward to coming. After saying goodbye to Qinglu, Baizi started a training plan that raced against time. As for the content and direction of the training camp, Baizi has already made a special plan in this regard, and now he just needs to take it out and use it. Big Needle Bee, this time you are the same as the Wind Speed Dog, focusing on the training of speed. Speed, this is not necessary, I say more, just go fly and run as hard as you can. Quote. Laplace, what you want to strengthen is special attack. Next, I need you to use the ice attribute factor in your body to create ice sculptures for everyone. Remember, you have to be exactly the same as everyone else. Zeroa, you continue to explore the use of the illusion feature. Cherulian, you try to use meditation to tame the skyrocketing spiritual power. Ibrahimovic, you should continue to use the power of SPAR to enhance the control of the factors of the electrical system in your body. Training with me if Marshadow. By the way, I'll try and see if I can teach you some skills about kicking. Arrange a group of elves. Baizi took out the elf egg and put it aside to bask in the sun, and moved his body a little. After a simple warm-up exercise, Baizi stretched his arms and started his own exercise. Your big needlebee sprinted for 1,000 meters with all its strength, and gained a little, triggering a double increase, speed ratio value plus 0.01x2. Your wind speed dog is trying his best to chase the giant needlebee, and he has a little gain, triggering a 5-fold increase, and the speed race value plus 0.01x5. Your Zoroya has concentrated on simulating Zyrna's morphological movements, and has gained a little, triggering 7 times the increase and illusion proficiency plus 1x7. Your Laplace worked hard to mobilize the ice attribute factor to condense a full body image of you, a little gain, triggering a triple increase, special attack racial value plus 0.01. Your Cerulean uses meditation to tame the skyrocketing mental power, and gains a little, triggers a 6-fold increase, meditation proficiency plus 1x6, mental power concentration plus 1x6. Your Ibrahimovic is trying to control the electrical factor in the body with the power of the SPAR. Heaven rewards hard work, triggering a 9-fold increase, and the adaptability of electrical properties is enhanced. You have completed 1,000 standard military flag push-ups at full speed, with a small gain, triggering a 10-fold increase, physique plus 0.01x10, strength plus 0.01x10. Your guidance Machado is training the basic kicking skills. You will gain a little, trigger 8 times increase, the kicking skills experience value plus 10x8. Machado's proficiency with the exclusive skill Kixing Soul Repelling Leg will increase. The melodious system prompt sound kept ringing, accompanied by the pain from time to time and the subtle warmth that emerged in the body. This full sense of gain made by Z gradually immersed in it. After more than 2 hours of high-intensity training, Baizi clapped his hands and stopped everyone. Only 24 hours of super growth buff is really valuable. But Baizi knew the truth of overreaching. Squeeze training seems to take enough time, but the conversion rate of training results is not as good as the planned training that combines work and rest, and it is more efficient and thorough. Certainly. The time saved should still be saved. Therefore, Baizi did not take the time to cook it carefully to ensure that the color and flavor are all perfect. 0. It's a light meal mainly for the purpose of supplementing nutrition. Tree fruit, fresh milk in a big milk tank, energy cubes and stewed meat. Eat and drink well. Take a break and adjust for a while. Baizi and the other elves once again threw themselves into the intense training. To be honest, the feeling that the hard work will pay off, it feels really good, especially when the reward will be multiplied, it will naturally be even better. Therefore, the 24-hour intensive training passed quickly in the sense of Baizi and the elves. Before you know it, the second day has arrived. There are only 2 or 3 minutes left until the end of the super growth buff. The results are of course gratifying. It can even be said that the harvest has been quite fruitful. In just 1 day, the speed attribute of the giant needlebee finally broke through again, rising by 1 point, reaching an astonishing value of 172. The speed attribute of the wind speed dog also successfully exceeded 100, rising 3 points, reaching 101. Although the increase in points is 3 times that of Big Needlebee, the actual increase is not much lower than that of Big Needlebee. Zoroa has initially completed the framework for the fantasy realm. The range has also increased by about 10 square meters. Laplace's random increase has not been high, and the special attack has only increased by 3 points, reaching 88. Cerulean's spiritual concentration has been greatly improved, and the domestication of spiritual power it is very effective, and it no longer affects the daily life and battle. Not only that, her proficiency in meditation skills has been improved to the point where she can almost instantly cast it. Ibrahimovic's adaptability to electricity attributes has also been enhanced to 90, which is not far from fully grasping the form of the thunder spirit, and then there is by Z self and Marshadow. Because of the 10 times increase in consecutive brushes, by Z's 4-dimensional attributes have increased greatly. The physique and strength of the main training have increased by 5 points. The speed of the minor training has increased by 3 points, and even the spirit has increased by 1 point. The spiritual power between his eyebrows was about to move, and it seemed that he would be fully awakened at any time. As for Machado, the little guy seems to be very interested in kicking skills. One day of hard work and an increase in it has allowed him to master this skill with a basic POM of 1.7, and he also got 1 point of attack attribute, gift. It stands to reason that such a harvest should be quite satisfactory. But in fact, Baizi still had a little regret in his heart. Because after the continuation of the Big Needle Bee, the super growth buff that he valued most, the ability to stimulate the potential of the elf, has never appeared again. Forget it, the contented are always happy. Seeing that the time on the personal panel was only a few seconds, and the time had begun to gradually return to 0, Baizi sighed slightly. And right now, Baizi, you really are a very good trainer. The familiar voice and tone suddenly sounded. Baizi was stunned for a moment, turned his head to look, and saw a blonde beauty approaching, with a bright and beautiful face showing in the morning light, making people dazzled. Hyerna. Chapter 82. INTR myself. The blue that fell from the sky, please subscribe. Hyerna, why are you here? Also, why did you suddenly appear behind me? I didn't notice at all. Baizi's expression was a little confused. But before he could finish speaking, Sharona suddenly approached and touched Baizi's cheek with a musky scent that was familiar to him. Afterwards, he covered his mouth and chuckled lightly. At this time, Baizi finally felt that something was wrong. And this feeling. It was also verified immediately. 1. Your Zoroha has been successfully induced to stimulate potential. The exclusive feature, illusion, has been greatly improved. The construction of the illusion domain has been completed. The illusion area has a range of 50 cubic meters, and the ability to implement projection operations has been obtained. Close black lens bracket. Baizi didn't listen anymore, went. I saw that he stretched out his hand and scooped up the Hyerna in front of him, and the fluffy touch suddenly came. In the strange soft voice, the image of Hyerna suddenly shattered, and a black-gray little fox with flame-like red hair on its head suddenly appeared. Woo. Zoroha, who was caught by the back of Fate's neck, struggled subconsciously twice. After seeing clearly that it was Baizi, his entire body froze. Afterwards, with a look of flattery on his face, he blinked Shui Lingling's big eyes, turned around and hugged Baizi's palm, and moved towards Baizi. Ying. You little bastard is really. Baizi held Zoroha in his hands with a bit of tears and laughter, and slapped the little guy a few times angrily and funny. It wasn't until the little guy was blurred by the rubbing eyes and his whole body was paralyzed that he let it go. But Cerulean, who was on the side, was not in a very beautiful mood at this time. Soraya knows what she's thinking about going out like this. Isn't she just wanting to show off her abilities and take advantage of Baizi by the way? Can it be so cheap? Use someone else's appearance to take advantage of someone you like. What's the difference between this and you NTR yourself? And under the rounding, it is equivalent to NTR her. So angry. Cerulean's liver hurts with anger. Looking at Zoroya, who was smirking in Baizi's arms, he almost couldn't hold back his small temper and rushed up to put a superpower annihilation in its mouth. However, she finally restrained this urge and began to try her best to calm down her inner emotions. Calm. Cerulean, you want a lady, don't be as knowledgeable as a fool. Calm. No. Still pissed. Damn, this stupid mother fox. Dish times winking face. 0. For a time, the calm Chilean on the surface fell into extreme madness. Noontime. After a hearty lunch, Baizi, who was not in a hurry, found a small earthy slope in the shade of a canopy-like tree nearby. He lay relaxed on the grass. The sun was shining, and the warm breeze brought the grass and flowers of the canyon plains. Just lie down. Baizi was already a little drowsy. Soraya, this little entanglement, of course, approached immediately, jumped on Baizi's belly, stepped on it with a meat pad, and then fell asleep. And when Zoroha moved, the other elves immediately came up. Cerulean gently picked up Baizi's head, knelt down and placed a lap pillow for Baizi. The giant hornbee is still the same, dipping into the treetops alone, and the wind speed dog is also lying on the other end of the slope, and together with the giant needlebee, they are on the mission of sentry. Ibrahimovic and Laplace didn't come out in the Pokeball. As for Marshadow, who has always been a bit detached from other elf partners, after the training camp, he got into the shadow of Baizi, and until now, he has no intention of appearing. The breeze was blowing quietly, a peaceful scene. But right now, over the sky, a slightly panicked girl shook her head. Hey, next little brother. Come on, I'm going to bump into you. Huh. Baizi's expression suddenly cleared. Open your eyes. Then I saw two Bai Shengsheng's calves riding towards his face. Under the tree, in the shade. Baizi sat opposite the girl who fell from the sky. The atmosphere was a little silent, and the expression on Baizi's face was indescribably weird. Just now, in front of this girl with long brown hair and a good figure, wearing a black dress, even grabbed a fat dick that kept leaking from the sky. Subsequently, the ever-changing monster transformed by the hat on her head, together with the fat ding, broke through the psychic shield that Cerulean used to intercept. Sitting directly on Baizi's face. Think of this. Baizi couldn't help, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Although he didn't taste the taste of the sea, this experience still made him feel unwell. In particular, he also recognized the identity of this Skyfall girl, one of the protagonists in the special Pokemon chapter. The blue who was called by Dr. Ogi as the Man of Evolution. Xiaolan, who lowered her head beside her, was also full of shame and anger at this time. Even if she was cheerful, lively, and eccentric, she would also like to find a hole to burrow when she encountered such a thing. Too ashamed. What a shame. He. Cerulean has been exuding low air pressure from just now until now. Second time. Today is the second time I have witnessed myself being NTR. If it wasn't for Baizi who had been grabbing her hand from the beginning, I'm afraid that Cerulean really couldn't hold back the evil fire in her heart and went berserk. Cough. Sitting here so stiffly is not the way to go. Baizi pretended to cough a few times, and said first, my name is Baizi, I come from Junqin town, and I am currently in the process of challenging the Quartz Alliance. Traveling. Xiaolan's heart sighed with relief. She heard the other party's intention to change the subject, and she quickly said, my name is Bai Lan, I can't tell you about my hometown, the purpose is also a secret. But, you can call me Xiaolan. Speaking of which, Xiaolan stuck out her tongue playfully. He looked as usual, as if he had forgotten what just happened. However, is it really Newtown? Xiaolan's blue eyes twitched slightly. But then, looking at the extraordinary elves around Baizi holding hands, Little Lan rolled his eyes, and a hint of slyness flashed in his eyes. By the way, you seem to be a very powerful trainer, right? Oh. Baizi noticed the slyness in the girl's eyes and raised his eyebrows slightly. What do you want to express? The girl leaned closer, looked at Baizi with admiration, and said, I want to say that you have so many precious and rare elves, and you will definitely become a big man like the champion of the 4 kings of the Alliance in the future. Then, have you ever thought about buying them? Some elf props to speed up the growth of elves and make them more, stronger. He said. Xiaolan also blinked Kazlan's big eyes at Baizi, Brindlin. A cute and adorable expression. And hands and feet are not slow. It can even be said that he took out a slew of props from his satchel at an astonishing speed and lined them up, and introduced them with passion. This is the dragon's teeth, which can subtly enhance the physique of the elves, and enhance the attack, attack of the dragon elves in a short period of time. This is the rock gem, which can enhance the power of the rock system during battle, and the energy in it can also be absorbed by the elves of the rock system to accelerate growth. This is. Also 307 has this. Fully functional and affordable. Quote. No need for 998. No need for 668. For only 500 Alliance coins, you can take anyone away. How about it? Are there any exciting props? Buy more and get more free. Buy 2 get 1 free. After Xiaolan introduced the names and functions of more than 10 kinds of props in one breath, and made an offer. Then he again put on a star-like look and looked at Baizi. Looking at this familiar scene, Baizi couldn't help but twitch. He knew very well that Kaiyi in the special chapter was once fooled by Xiaolan with this set of tricks. And this is also the chapter in which Xiaolan officially appeared. Now, he actually tricked him into Baizi's head. What's more, if you don't use things that are priceless in the market like attribute items, you should go to the Wizard Network or a special sales place for auction, right? Selling like this, 500 for a piece, buy 2 get 1 free. I'm afraid this is not a fool, right? Shook his head. When Baizi was about to reject Xiaolan's kindness, with a perfunctory sentence, Cerulean's telepathy suddenly came to his ears. Baizi, in that gray-black ore, I felt a very strong water attribute energy factor. I feel. It's like a polymer crystal of water attribute energy factor. Baizi suddenly sat up straight. Subsequently, in Xiaolan's startled expression, she held the opponent's little hand with a look of surprise, and said, excitedly, there is such a cheap attribute item. Needless to say, I have it all. Chapter 83. The little blue who really sent the wealthy boy, suddenly changed his attitude. Please complete the order. Huh. Xiaolan was a little stunned at first, then her eyes lit up, and she quickly estimated the price. I have a total of 13 items in this. 1 item is 500, buy 2 get 1 free, 12 items are 4,000 Alliance coins. The extra one is for you. Saying that, she patted her chest with a bold face, and pushed the thing to Baizi's side. Then he handed Bai Shengsheng's palm to Baizi's face, and said crisply, Cheng Wei. Ha tilde. This look of a petty money fan made Baizi suddenly laugh. He didn't speak, but turned his eyes to Cerulean who was sitting beside him. Cerulean immediately understood Baizi's eyes. God. After returning a pretty white eye, the palm of the hand moved, and Yingying's blue light spread. The space backpack put aside by Baizi was suddenly pulled away by an invisible force, and a small pink purse flew out of it and came to Cerulean's hand. This purse was bought by Baizi in Wallen City as a gift to Cerulean who was still Lolora's at the time. In it, except for some small objects that Baizi didn't know, and the small objects that Cerulean collected by himself, there were all the real coins of Baizi except for the Alliance card. Because of various challenges and change, plus some pocket money that Baizi specially put away. The amount is not too small. Probably about 50 or 60,000. After all, girls need to be rich, and Baizi has always been adhering to this point in raising Loloras. Well, it should be Cerulean now. At this time. After seeing Cerulean pull out a thick stack of banknotes from her small purse, Xiaolan fell silent. Because she found out that the money that one elf of the other party can take out is actually much richer than her entire wealth. The evil capitalist, JPG. A total of 4,000, you order it. A soft and cold voice resounded from Xiaolan's mind, and at the same time, a stack of banknotes seemed to be handed to her by an invisible palm. Okay. Xiaolan stretched out his hand to take it, and the sound seemed weak. Looking at the large pile of chilori on the opposite side, and comparing the small pile in my hand. The joy of making money suddenly disappeared, and the 4,000 ocean, which should have been ecstatic, suddenly lost its fragrance. I don't even have an elf yet. Interesting. How can it be repaired? At this moment, the sharp sword of poverty stabbed Xiaolan's heart. After stuffing the money into the carry bag, Looking at the other party's smiling expression, and recalling the great advantage that he had taken before, a nameless fire suddenly rushed to Xiaolan's head. No. Can't just forget about it. Since you are so rich, don't blame this mushroom for robbing the rich and helping the poor. Brother by Z tilde. Xiaolan's low expression suddenly changed, her face was like a peach blossom, and her voice became sweeter. I didn't expect Brother by Z to be so generous, and he would spare no money for his elf. I am so moved, little sister. R tilde. By Z's eyelids jumped, and he rolled his eyes a little speechlessly. If you have something to say, let it go. I will endure. The little blue hunch was clenched tightly, which could be felt from the left hand still being held by Bai Zi. However, in the end, Xiaolan put up with it for the time being. The smirk continued to pile up on his face, and a pile of crowns and badges came from the backpack. Even bits and pieces of various objects such as iron blocks. With a smile on his face, he said, sincerely, Brother Bai Zi, I actually keep some elf items for myself. However, Brother Bai Zi spends a lot of money on the elf, and I can't be too stingy, little sister. These rubbish. I am willing to give up all of these elf props. It's all sold to you, Brother Bai Zi. So close. I was almost excited to tell the truth tilde I secretly glanced at Bai Zi's face, seeing that there was nothing different. Xiaolan suddenly let out a sigh of relief. Then, he looked at Bai Zi with a look of anticipation. The small purse in Chirulian's hand. Bai Zi was a little speechless. This little girl really doesn't know how to close the film as soon as it's good, although it's actually Bai Zi who makes a lot of money. Because after that thing passed through Chirulian's hand just now, it has basically been determined that it is basically similar in structure to the electric energy spar that Sharona gave him before. However, one is of electrical property, and now this one is of water property. That is to say, it is equivalent to him spending only 4,000 alliance coins to sell a real treasure worth at least a few million from Xiaolan's hands. Yet at this moment, Bai Zi I feel that the shadow behind him suddenly fluctuates. Afterwards, Chirulian's ethereal and cold voice was accompanied by telepathy. Bai Zi, I sensed a stone with a strange power in this. Also, Marciado told me just now that there is a trace of law in the soft gold like iron, and the material is also very special. Speaking of which, Bai Zi and Chirulian were a little speechless, looking at each other with a strange feeling on their faces. This girl, I am afraid that she is not a living bodhisattva, sending a wealthy boy, right? Thinking like this, Bai Zi asked Chirulian and Xiaolan to count the number of props again. A little more this time, a total of 21 pieces. According to what was agreed before, one piece is 500, buy two get one free, and Chirulian paid Xiaolan a total of 7,000 alliance coins. Take your money. Earned, more than 10,000 yuan, is finally in a better mood. When I was satisfied, I immediately decided to smear oil on my feet and slip away as a respect, so as not to be caught by fake goods. However, as soon as Xiaolan was about to get up, she found that her left hand was still wrapped in Bai Zi's palm, and as soon as she exerted force, she was pulled back and almost fell into Bai Zi's arms. What do you mean? Xiaolan asked a little guilty. At the same time, he looked around, ready to signal his elf to come to rescue. But her eyes God can only call the blind man. Because the only two elves she released, Fat Ding and Variety Monster, are now surrounded by a black and red little fox. The three little guys are playing and sparring in high spirits. Fat Ding is smiling like a fool, and the Variety Monster has changed into each other's appearance. Obviously, they have no time to receive Xiaolan. God. PFF'd, seeing this scene, Xiaolan almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. It's okay to be young at the age of variety. But Fat Ding, why are you like this? What about tacit agreement? Where is the tacit understanding that we grew up together? Where is the tacit understanding that we go south and north to rob the rich and help the poor? Where is the tacit understanding that we escaped from the masked man's base? Shaolin growled inwardly. But on the surface, after secretly tugging a few times and discovering that he couldn't escape at all, he had to force a smile and pretend to be pitiful. Brother Bai Zi, what are you doing? You hurt me tilde equals. Equals. Tilde. Sobbing tilde talking and talking, there were actually a little teardrops in the eye sockets. Subsequently, she raised her head diligently, as if she didn't want to let the tears fall, and there was a delicate smile on her face that forced a smile on her face. Even if Bai Zi knew the details of the other party and knew that the other party was acting, he couldn't help but feel a trace of pity in his heart. Tisk tisk. Acting is really great. Don't worry, it's not a big deal, even if the props you sold me are fake, I won't trouble you. Bai Zi said with a mean expression on his face. Hey, hee hee. Shaolin froze when she heard the words, and said with a dry smile, Brother Bai Zi, you're joking, why would I buy fakes for you? Don't laugh so hard, that's what I said. Bai Zi manually helped Shaolan pull out a smiling face, then the topic changed, and he leaned in slightly and asked, or, did you really buy me a fake? How is it possible? There was cold sweat oozing out of Shaolanji's forehead, and he smiled with no resistance at all. That's fine. Bai Zi sat back again, and then a little bit of Shaolin's earlobe, smiled and asked in the other's electric shock-like expression, I bought so many things from you, should you give me a gift or something? What do you want to do? All the inventory has been sold to you. Shaolan shrank her neck, and while suppressing the strange feeling in her heart, she cursed okay Zhao from the bottom of her heart, pervert. Rogue, salty pork knuckle, LSP. I really like your earrings. Bai Zi answered nonchalantly, and gave Shaolan a, color. Hee tilde. The person was under the eaves and had to bow his head. Shaolin had to take off the silver earring on one side and pretended to be generous. Since Brother Bai Zi likes it, I'll give it to you, you're welcome. Bai Zi took it casually, put it in the pocket of his jacket, and said, I need to trouble you with one more thing. Hee, you say tilde. Play a spear with me. Huh. Shaolan looked surprised. Looking at the handsome young man who had let go of her palm and got up with a very oppressive height, are you serious? Of course. Bai Zi answered decisively and said inexplicably, let me try the quality of the evolutionary man. Evolved man. Open black lens bracket evolution close black lens bracket. As if recalling some bad memory, Shaolan's face suddenly turned cold. Chapter 84. VS Blue, Absolute, Power, the Power of Evolution. Please subscribe. 9 years ago. When she was only 5 years old, she was kidnapped from Junxin town by a huge unknown bird elf and brought to an unknown masked man. Together with 5 other children with excellent trainer abilities who were also looted, they were forced to wear masks, and they were divided into 3 groups of men and women, and each studied the 3 themes arranged by the masked man. And this one. Shaolan and another little boy who is only 2 years old. The subject they were forced to study and research was evolution. What the hell do you know? Shaolan Chung Yin asked coldly. Since escaping from the masked man's training base, she has been investigating the huge bird elf and the true identity of the masked man all these years. Therefore, when Bai Zi said the word, evolutionary person, which had a special meaning in her heart, she couldn't calm down. Want to know? The corner of Bai Zi's mouth raised a subtle arc, and said, if you can beat me, I will tell you everything I know. Good. Shaolin showed a completely different and extraordinary determination from just now. Since the battle is what you said, the rules will be determined by me. How? Of course. A look of admiration flashed in Bai Zi's eyes, and he nodded slightly. Then, the rules of the battle are 1v1, the winner is determined in 1 round, and the elves sent by both sides must not exceed the gym level at the most. The scope of the battle needs to be limited to a field of 40 mx 100 meters. Finally, as trainers, both sides must be blindfolded to command the battle. Shaolin said a few special rules in one breath, and then said to Bai Zi in a slightly provocative tone, how about it, dare you? It's not a question of dare. Naturally, Baizi would not be provoked by such a trick. 307 shook his head and said, there are so many restrictions on the rules, and they may all benefit you. So are you going to refuse? Xiaolan interrupted directly. No. Baizi shook his head, and the smile on his mouth was still obvious. I agree. After all, these rules do not violate the basic rules of relative fairness. Why don't I accept them? Come on, show me the best you can. Baizi's increasingly dazzling eyes slowly glowed, revealing the purest light of a trainer. Just like what I said before, let me see your style, Xiaolan. The voice just fell. Baizi's eyes turned to Cerulean. Needless to say, Cerulean immediately stretched out his hand, and the splendid light flew out. Accurately draw a rectangular simple battlefield on the ground. Subsequently, Zoroa. Baizi said hello, and the little guy immediately abandoned the two new playmates, and ran to Baizi's feet to rub, making a sticky snoring sound. He squatted down and rubbed Zoroa's little head. Baizi got up again, and said to Xiaolan with a little playfulness, the elf I played in this battle is Zoroha. This is also your choice, right? Xiaolan's eyes narrowed, but she didn't speak. But it is. The reason why she set a maximum limit of no more than the gym level is to limit the appearance of Baizi's elves as much as possible. Except for this little fox elf whose race she is not quite sure about, the alienated hornet on the tree, the flashing Chilean on the side, and the wind speed dog down the slope are all more difficult to mess with. There is no one who exudes a momentum that is weaker than the quasi-celestial king. Only the cute little fox that looks stupid, ACBH, although she doesn't know the species, but according to the knowledge of evolution, it should be the elf in its initial form. In terms of strength, it also looks much weaker compared to the other guys who are not easy to mess with. Of course, there is an element of gambling in this. Because she wasn't sure if these were all Baizi's elves. But okay. She won the bet. Moreover, she is not without a bottom-up preparation plan. This gym level restriction was also prepared for the elves she was going to play next. Come on, little fat ding, you must win. Bali tilde. Pink Doodoo, the cute cat ears like balloons came to the field, big eyes, short hands and short feet, and the tuft of curly hair on the top of the head all set off its cuteness. Fat Ding, the balloon Pokemon, has a vocal range of over 12 scales and is known for singing lullabies that put almost anything to sleep. It is said that the body may be full of air. Not only does it use inhalation to inflate itself and fly, but after being knocked down, it can even leak air like a balloon and become as thin as a piece of paper. Do you choose Fat Ding to play? Baizi seemed to understand the purpose of the conditions behind Xiaolan. And open black lens bracket race. Fat Ding close black lens bracket. Attribute: normal fairy. Characteristics: charming body, friendly defense Monty. Level: elite peak level 34, 99 100ths. Potential: champion. HP: 115, attack 45, defense 20, special attack 45, special defense 25, speed 20. Skills: singing, slapping, imitating, rounding, angel's kiss, enchanting voice, immobilization, coquetry, echo, craving, charging, swallowing, squirting, sing-along, sleeping, topping the mountain, imitation, Euro ball. Exclusive feature: collection. Open black lens bracket condition. Good close black lens bracket. Introduction: a fat man with extraordinary aptitude who can break through at any time. He has super resistance far beyond the boundaries of his family and even breaks through racial boundaries. He is also an old Siji who is proficient in various flying skills, the peak of the elite. At any time is it possible to break through. No wonder. A trace of clarity flashed in Baizi's eyes. Now, he has completely guessed the girl's plan. I have to say, this is indeed an unsolvable chain set. But judgment, reaction, knowledge, eyesight, resourcefulness, planning, etc., all of these are indeed the qualities that trainers must have. But sometimes, none of that matters. Because in the face of certain overwhelming, absolute, power gaps, these are like fragile bubbles that burst when they are poked. And Zoroha, who happens to have one of them now, is overwhelming. Yes, absolutely, power. With such a sigh, Baizi slowly folded a black towel, brushed up his hair, completely covered the part around his eyes, and tied a live button behind his head. Opposite, Shaolin also took out a fat-looking blindfold and put it on. Then a little sprite bracelet. The next second, 1DDD, the game. Start. Close black lens bracket. As soon as the electronic sound fell, Shaolin, who was already prepared, immediately ordered, "Little fat ding, fly high, come, use the echo." Ba mild tilde. Fat ding took a deep breath, and his entire body quickly swelled several times in the sluggish expression on Soroya's face, and then floated and quickly lifted into the air, hovering nearly 20 meters above the field. Get up. Then, it continued to pat its chubby body with its little hands that were almost invisible. Immediately, the substantive sound waves were passed down from above, covering the entire venue. The full coverage of the sound skills is obviously inescapable, and the power of the echo skills will increase every time it lasts for a round. And Zoroha, who was below, was almost unavoidable. In this way, it is equivalent to falling into a situation of passive beating completely. Over time, I am afraid that Zoroha will be directly sung to death like this, until he is completely incapacitated. This is indeed an interlocking, almost unsolvable dead end. Woo tilde. Soraya's painful whine suddenly came, and Shaolin's mouth also crossed a triumphant smile. In her opinion, within 3 rounds at most, the opponent will completely lose the ability to fight in the continuously increasing echo. And in this process, Zoroya can't attack or even interfere with the fat people who are all over the sky, only passively beaten. It's a win, Shaolin thought in his heart. But at this moment, Baizi, who took the initiative to approach the range of the sound wave, and relied on sensory memory to roughly estimate the height of Fat Ding from the ground, suddenly twitched at the corner of his mouth. Zoroa, let them also experience the feeling of facing death, feel it. Build it, the destruction of the giant dragon is dead. Woo. In the tender but fierce long howl, a faint blue light curtain spreads out in an instant. Even with blindfolded eyes, the familiar scene of Zhengwei Lighthouse still comes into view again. Zoroa's hallucination ability is eroded by a peculiar illusion energy wave, so as to deceive the various senses of human beings and elves, and even monitoring equipment and various high-tech instruments, so as to achieve special effects that resemble the real. Unless you close your eyes, or have a heart. Otherwise, it would be difficult for a mere layer of blindfold to block the erosion of Zoroa's illusion energy. At the moment, the huge waves, the incomparably huge figure slowly approached in the thick fog, the mournful dragon roar and heavy footsteps resounded like a dull thunder. What's the matter? Shaolan, who could no longer control her blindfold, was completely shocked by the sight in front of her. And followed. Roar tilde. Accompanied by angry roars one by one, a beam of light with a diameter of dozens of meters broke through the thick smoke, and swept straight towards the direction of Shaolin. Ba mile. Fat Ding, who was shivering from the fear of the giant fast dragon, saw this, his expression changed greatly, and in the shrill cry, he rushed towards Shaolin without hesitation. The speed of this instant explosion is indeed shocking. But it still failed to push its trainer away in time. Just arrived. The beam of light that was like destroying the sky and destroying the earth has already fallen into the air, and slammed into the one person and one pet who embraced each other. You commanded Zoroya to defeat the blue Fat Ding, a little gain, battle experience +30, spirit +1, Zoroha level +3. Ding, defeat the Son of Destiny, get the pursuit reward. The power of evolution can only be used by one elf once. Chapter 85, Great Harvest. Baizi's shock, please order all. Shaolin finally left with disappointment. Baizi didn't tell her anything about Masquerade. On the one hand, in this real world, he cannot guarantee that all the information is exactly the same as what he knows. What's more, Lubo also has several original images and stories such as comics, animations, and games. Baizi can't be sure whether it is a single image or a comprehensive image. For example, Qinglu, the handheld he has now has included the appearance of the two versions of the game and the generation of elves. Therefore, these information can only be used as a reference, and cannot be completely believed blindly. On the other hand, no matter which version of Uncle Lu, his strength should not be underestimated. At least, it's not that Little Blue can deal with today. If you don't have enough strength, even if you know all the truth, what can you do? This is Baizi's sincere warning. And Little Blue. He also seemed to be persuaded by him to ask for a short hug like a joke, and after unilaterally asking for Baizi's communication number, he flew away from this canyon in a fat ding hot air balloon original. Open black lens bracket beep beep. Close black lens bracket. And not long after Xiaolan left, Baizi's elf bracelet suddenly remembered. A little puzzled, Xiaolan's pretty face with a mischievous expression suddenly rose with the virtual screen. Brother Baizi, thank you for your notebook tilde. As soon as the words fell, the screen cut off. Back to a black screen, apparently hung up. The corner of Baizi's mouth twitched slightly and touched the pocket of his shirt. Sure enough, the notebook he used to record training plans and elf attributes had disappeared without a trace. This little girl's film. Baizi immediately laughed and scolded, a little dumbfounded. The things recorded in this notebook are considered precious. But it's not that simple to want to interpret it. After all, it's a word that doesn't exist in this world. Baizi shook his head with a smile, full of jokes. Subsequently, he turned his head, beckoned to the wind speed dog not far away, took out the earring in his pocket, handed it to the wind speed dog's nose, and said, "Come on, smell it, remember this smell." The other side. After Xiaolan flew out for a while with Fat Ding, she couldn't wait to pull out the notebook and laughed loudly. Hey, if you are as cunning as Gengar, don't you want to drink my Xiaolan's bathwater? Let me see what kind of secrets you have recorded. Looking at the square rows in the notebook, there are unknown words that contain a unique beauty. Xiaolan was immediately confused. Except for a few numbers and some letters she could recognize, the rest were all recorded in a language she couldn't understand at all. What is this? Ancient script. Yes, but who needs to use ancient characters to keep a notebook? Xiaolan was a little crazy. Since she met this man, it has been very difficult for her to have the upper hand, and she has been crushed to death by the opponent. No. Xiaolan was suddenly shaken, took out the thick stack of alliance coins from her purse, and her mood improved a lot. Hey, what about the tricks? I didn't make a lot of money. Thinking of this, her mood suddenly improved a lot. Baizi. Xiaolan muttered, deeply recorded the name in his mind, and the veins in the plain hand holding the notebook exploded. Humph, you wait. I won't let you go easily. Done. She put away Baizi's notebook, recruited Fat Ding, and immediately stopped in place, flying in the direction of the Golden City. Look back. In the shade. Cut tilde. Baizi, who was sitting cross-legged, sneezed suddenly without coming. However, he didn't care. Instead he looked at the 3 items neatly placed in front of the pile of scraps. They are one by one blue irregular spheres taken out from brown crystals. One was removed from the stone block before, and the interior was rendered with this yellow and white two-color, colored glass beads. One looks ordinary, but the material is black soft gold as flexible as rubber. Excluding the unknown, but according to Marciado, it contained a rather pure aura of the steel-based law, except for the black soft gold. Baizi happened to know the other 2 things. The blue irregular sphere belongs to the same category as the electricity energy spar that Sharona gave him before, and it is a water energy spar. This stuff. It can be reserved for Ibrahimovic to fully analyze the electric property spar, complete the adaptability to the electric property, and use it after successfully mastering the thunder spirit form. As for the second one, it is a mega stone, that is, a super evolution stone. Light blue sphere, yellow and white color petals. Bai Zi, who has a memory like a camera, quickly found out the type of this mega stone through memory analogy. Coincidentally, this happens to be the mega stone of a giant gold monster. Needless to say, it is naturally reserved for iron dumbbells that have not yet hatched. In this case, the search for the evolution keystone will be on the agenda, and Bai Zi picked up the piece of black soft gold. Since this thing is contaminated with the breath of law, it should be considered the highest grade metal, right? If you wait for the iron dumbbell to eat it after it is born. Bai Zi's eyes lit up, and the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was feasible, and immediately put away the piece of soft gold happily. Little Lan, good man. With a sigh, Bai Zi shifted his gaze and opened the system's second-level reward page. Immediately one by one, the power of evolution. It can deeply dig and stabilize the potential power of elves, so that they can fully master the ultimate power of super evolution. Only one elves can use it once. It turned out to be for elves. Is it something you use? The ability to autonomously master hyper-evolution. Bai Zi frowned slightly, and soon, he determined the ultimate attribution of this so-called power of evolution, Yi Qilulian. This is not Bai Zi's preference. Actually, among the elves he is currently holding, the only ones with super evolutionary potential are the Big Needle Bee, Iron Dumbbell, and Cerulean. However, the large Needle Bee has a constant mega form, and the Iron Dumbbell has not yet hatched and already has a mega stone. Therefore, naturally, it was the most suitable thing to fall on Cerulean's head. After confirming the candidate, Bai Zi didn't hesitate much, got up and said to Cerulean, who was sitting on the side, Cerulean, I will give you something good in a while. Don't panic, take it well. Feel good. Okay, Bai Zi. Cerulean gave Bai Zi 100% trust. Hearing this, he nodded without hesitation, his eyes were like water, and he waited for Bai Zi to act. 0. Ask for flowers. Bai Zebao responded with a gentle smile. Then, mind a move. On the system page that only he could see, the 4 words power of evolution suddenly turned into a colorful radiance. Go straight to Cerulean. Swish. The speed of the streamer was very fast, and Cerulean was enveloped in it in an instant, and the phantom of the black double helix structure glowing with colorful lights was imprinted on the void. And in this very moment, this piece of canyon plain is less than 10 miles west of the Golden City. There was a violent roar of air. The super energy factors within a few hundred meters nearby all violently rioted like boiling oil and water. The entire canyon plain. They are all distorted and filled in the sky, like the aurora-like light bands of various colors, filled. This is really. The wind speed dog held up and guarded the green ability shield, and the eyes of all the elves, including Bai Zi, couldn't hide their shock. Because he can totally feel it. This splendid aurora-like layer of light is nothing but the substantiation of the super energy factor controlled by Cerulean's vast spiritual power. This shocking scene lasted for about 5 minutes before it gradually overflowed and disappeared. And I don't know when it will rise in midair. Cerulean, who was surrounded by a layer of lavender energy light balls, also slowly descended to Bai Zi's side. Bai Zi, I feel that a very majestic force has awakened in my body. The most important thing is that my mental power has completely stabilized, and I can even perform fine operations like an arm command. Lian smiled. Talking. She stretched out her hand, and the majestic mental power was completely absorbed by the moisture of the direct air, turning into 2 small Bai Zi and Cerulean, dancing in midair. Not bad. A smile also appeared on Bai Zi's face. Immediately, his eyes flashed, and an unseen brilliance rose from his eyes one by one. Race, Cerulean purple flash. Attribute, super fairy. Characteristics, synchronization, telepathy, Monty. Level, quasi-Tianwang elementary, level 52, 6100s. Potential, level 2 god, extreme. HP, 138, attack, 135 defense, 135 special attack, 120-65 special defense, 155 speed, 150. Exclusive skills, super annihilation, spiritual smash. Open black lens bracket skill, slightly, close black lens bracket. Genetic skills, black eyes, farewell gifts. Open black lens bracket status, perfect close black lens bracket. Introduction. Leloras, with extraordinary aptitude, is gifted with extraordinary talents and possesses a powerful spiritual power far beyond that of his family. He perfectly integrates the genetic sequences of the two great legends of Dream and Super Dream, thus gaining power and ability beyond the limit. Contains the ultimate power of super evolution. P.S. I am going to design and evolve Shinado and have two super evolutions, X and Y, which are the same as Mewtwo. One enhances the special attack, the same as the original, and the other enhances the physical attack, similar to the special chapter Mewtwo who fights with a superpower spoon. Form, of course, not necessarily a spoon. What do you say? Do you want to change it? Several. Chapter 86. Terrible Psychic Strength, Chaos Dream Riot, Lost Forest. For full order. After Cerulean fused the power of evolution, his strength has been significantly enhanced again. This kind of enhancement is not just a mere 2-level jump in level. More important. It was the vast spiritual power that Cerulean possessed immediately after the mental power was completely stabilized, which was far beyond the stage of the quasi-celestial king. As seen in the field at this time, Chiru tilde. Bang Yi, with a soft moan, Cerulean's psychic ball condensed by pure psychic power collided head on with the fire column spewed out by the wind speed dog. For a while, the two sides were at a stalemate. Until the wind speed dog increases the output force of the jet flame little by little. It almost reached 30% of its normal combat power, and it was able to smash the mind power ball and rushed towards the slightly staggered Cerulean. Whoosh! But in the next second, Cerulean disappeared in place in an instant, letting the jet of flame fly into the air. And then, Cerulean, who appeared in the air, raised her hands, and the lavender energy stance rose from the whole body of the wind speed dog, layered on top of each other, and turned into countless psychic coats, trapping the wind speed dog firmly in place. Ka! The wind speed dog in the prison cage trembled slightly, and in the next second, at least the psychic coat with dozens of layers superimposed suddenly, 307, cracked, and was quickly completely shattered, turning into a invisible. The shattering of the psychic shield also represented the official end of this experimental competition. Baizi stepped forward and looked at the wind speed dog with his exploratory eyes. Ooh tilde. The wind speed dog also responded quickly after pondering for a while. Overrated. Cerulean's ethereal telepathy resounded in the minds of one person and one dog. Even if it's only 30% of my strength, I'm just barely able to resist. And compared to Sister Fengsugo, it's still far behind, and I can't afford such praise. 30%. Baizi was stunned for a moment, and then immediately confirmed. Feng Speed Dog, are you sure that it took 30% of your strength to break free of Cerulean's psychic skills? Ow tilde. The wind speed dog immediately nodded and confirmed again. Good. Ha ha ha. Good. Baizi couldn't help but burst out laughing. What is the concept of wind speed dog's 30% power? To know. The wind speed dog has reached the limit of the realm of the king, and 30% of the force is enough to fight an ordinary king elf. That is to say, based on the strength of the mind power alone, Cerulean already has it, which can temporarily limit the strength of the king-level elves. The strength of such thoughts can be imagined. What a terrible. At the same time, Joban City, Joban Gym, in an unknown secret base hundreds of meters underground. I see, Dr. Fuji, try to stabilize Mewtwo's consciousness. I will go to Nijima soon. A calm, yet majestic male voice came from behind the luxurious leather office chair. Click. As the phone hung up, the office chair slowly turned. A middle-aged man wearing a burgundy suit with a big back hair appeared in front of him. His stature is not strong, and his appearance is ordinary, but his sharp eyes like an eagle watching a wolf add a different kind of prominence, which is unforgettable at first sight. This man is named Sakagi. On the bright side, as the master of the gymnasium, he has disclosed his book, The Secret of the Earth, which is about the training and cultivation methods of the ground-type and rock-type elves. It is very popular among civilian trainers, and enjoys a high reputation in both Kanto and Kanto. But in fact, secretly, he is also the leader of the Rocket Team, a dark organization that spans both Gwandu. As the most compelling one of the villain bosses. While other dark organizations were chasing the power of the beasts, Sakagi tried to create a top legend belonging to Team Rocket, the ultimate weapon. And he is almost there. Just thinking of what Dr. Fuji reported to him just now, Sakagi could not help but frown slightly. In the recent period of time, the final weapon, Cheomung, which has almost completed the final debugging stage, has started to undergo frequent mental riots. Although the consciousness has not awakened from the slumber. But from the earliest mental violence to now, there have been 7 or 8. Mewtwo. As the cornerstone of Sakagi's dream of conquering the world, it is absolutely not to be missed. Therefore, he decided to go to the new island to sit in person after a while to prevent Mewtwo from waking up early. 'Cause unnecessary surprises. Dong dong dong, the door of the office suddenly rang at this moment. Sakagi regained his unsmiling expression and said in a deep voice, "Come in." The door was pushed open. Slap, slap. Amidst the crisp high-heeled shoes, a tall woman with neatly combed red hair and half-long hair stepped in, stopped about a meter away in front of the large desk, and said respectfully, "Boss." "It's Athena. What happened?" Seeing the person coming, Sakagi's expression softened a little, resting one hand on his chin, leaning slightly on the back of the chair, and stroking the cat boss beside his feet with one hand. He acted very relaxed. Obviously, Sakagi trusts the woman in front of him very much. But in the next second, Athena brought him some rather bad news. "Boss, Lambda is dead." Near the entrance of the Rock Mountain Tunnel on number 6 road, it was devoured by fire skills. Sakagi made a move. However, although he was annoyed in his heart, he still kept his joy and anger indistinct. Quite a while. Then he asked in a deep voice, "Have you identified the suspect?" "No." Athena shook her head, and then said with some hesitation, "But based on the strength of the skill's energy level and on-site performance, the subordinates guess that it might be Yulongdu." "It won't be him," Sakagi interrupted directly, denying the speculation. Seeing that Athena seemed a little puzzled, she explained casually, "With Yulongdubaju's temperament, I am afraid that when you rush over, you will directly bump into him." Sakagi didn't finish his words. But Athena's pupils shrank suddenly, and she was not afraid for a while. The invincible Longshadu. This name seems to be full of security in the eyes of the people of Gwandu and Gwandu. But for their hostile dark organizations, he is a cruel and tyrannical tyrant. Especially in recent years. But in the end, it was a trainer at the level of a king. Athena quickly suppressed the throbbing in her heart, and asked her eyes, God for instructions. Then, boom, 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 Sakagi silently tapped the table a few times, and after a while, he said solemnly, "This matter is suppressed first. The plan has come to an end, and it is not beneficial for the time being to make a big fight and attract the attention of the Alliance. Yes. Also, since Lambda is dead, it's time to make up for the lost combat power. Are there any candidates?" "Yes." Athena obviously had a draft for a long time, and she said, Mazishi in Dryleaf City, Nazi in Golden City, a Jew in Light Red City. Mazishi, Nazi, a Jew. These are all gym trainers. The smile on the corner of Sakaji's mouth was a little playful, and after a little pondering, he said, I'll leave this matter to you, but Mazishi was born in the army, and a Jew is a ninja heir, so it's not so easy to recruit. Let's go to the Golden City and try to recruit that Supergirl Nazi Zero. I understand, Athena responded respectfully. Afterwards, seeing Sakagi waved his hand, he turned and stepped back very neatly, and started to investigate Nazi and preparations for going to Golden City. The other side. Baizi did not go to the Golden City for the gym challenge immediately after he tested the strength of Chilean's mind power against the sky. Instead, turn around and head towards the Lost Forest in the western suburbs of Golden City. The reason for the temporary change of the itinerary. It was because Cerulean told him that when he fused the power of evolution before, the soaring mental power made her vaguely feel that somewhere in the Lost Forest, something seemed to be attracting her. The Lost Forest is a well-known location in the Kanto region. And the reason for this reputation, mainly due to the existence of the Lost Forest, it can almost be said to be a semi-public Cathy clan. Certainly. If this is the case, I am afraid that the Lost Forest has either become a protected area controlled by the Alliance, or has been conquered by mad, crazy trainers. But none of this happened. Because the people living in this Lost Forest, except for the extremely precious 1.7 Super Elf Casey, also living in a large number of Casey evolutions and ultimate evolutions, as well as Lord of the Lost Forest, a quasi-god level overlord who was angry at the beginning because he was oversubdued by human beings, and finally got out in anger. That fantasy light like a rainstorm has made the Lost Forest so far, no one dares to overstep. And to this day, I don't know what kind of agreement was reached. After being promoted by the League, trainers who go to the Lost Forest to subdue Casey will abide by a customary rule. Only after being approved by Casey can they be subdued in one-on-one battles. And this moment has arrived at Baizi at the entrance of the Lost Forest. After jumping off the dog's back and helping Cerulean, who was riding with him, he stepped straight into the entrance of this dark forest. Chapter 87, The Severely Injured and Dying Nazi, Spiritual Invasion. For full order. The trees inside the Lost Forest are so close together, yet give an eerie feeling of emptiness. The surroundings were filled with mist, the light could not get in, and it was groggy and very dark. To be honest, if he didn't know in advance about such a dark and gloomy environment, I'm afraid Baizi would mistakenly think that he was in a gathering place of some ghost-type elves. Cerulean, can you determine the exact location? After stepping on the edge of the Lost Forest, Baizi didn't rush into it, but turned his head and asked Cerulean, who was hanging with his eyes closed. Ying-Ying's mental power fluctuations kept sweeping from Cerulean's body toward the depths of the Lost Forest. On the body surface, the lavender psychic brilliance set off Cerulean's extraordinarily beautiful and noble moment. Cerulean opened his eyes and slowly shook his head towards Baizi. It can only be roughly determined that it should be in the center of the forest, but the center of the entire forest seems to be enveloped by a powerful mental force field. There is no way for my mental power to go further. Is that so? Baizi frowned. After pondering for a moment, he said cautiously, then take a step and take a look. Wind speed dog, pay attention to your vigilance, Cerulean, wrap your mind and move forward. After speaking, he glanced at the shadow behind him subconsciously. That was where Machado was deposited. However, unless it is really invincible, or in a situation that is fatal enough, Machado will not shoot. At this point, Machado had already expressed it to Baizi long ago. Baizi also had no opinion on this. In the first place, Machado was not the one he held in his hands, but a contract in the shadows, existing as a guardian spirit. Second, it was Baizi who didn't want to rely too much on Machado's power. This is not conducive to the growth of himself and other elves. But having a trump card like Machado also gave Baizi a lot of confidence. Otherwise, with his temperament, it is impossible to easily go deep into the Lost Forest without a complete grasp. At this moment, as Cerulean responded slightly, a lavender halo spread out from her body, and through the clenched palms of both sides, Baizi was completely wrapped, forming a light layer of light. Purple psychic coat. One person and one favorite looked at each other tacitly, and immediately walked towards the depths of the forest. Behind him, the wind speed dog also followed closely, leaving a shallow scorch mark on the ground when he stepped on it. It was not long before Baizi was immediately in place. Whoosh! A layer of illusory light flashed, and in the next second, one person and one elf squeezed out of the void and appeared in place. It was a girl with long knee-length green hair, a red dress with a corset, a black inner lining, a cold and pretty face and unforgettable burgundy eyes. Immediately amazed. But she didn't seem to be in a good state at this time. Clothes and hair are messy. The wound from the lower rib to the lower abdomen that runs through the waist and abdomen and is nearly a foot long is shocking enough. Not to mention the shocking purple venom in the open flesh and blood. Young Tilda. Beside him, a yellow human-shaped bipedal elf with a fox face, a red five-pointed star pattern printed on the eyebrows, a fluffy tail dragging behind him, and a spoon in his hand looked over with a worried look. It is one of the representative spirits of the superpower system. Young Hila. And the terribly injured girl. Not someone else. It is the gym trainer in Golden City, Natsi, who is known as the Supergirl. I am fine. Natsi's lips were pale, but her eyes were still calm, and her weak voice did not make anyone feel any emotion. Yanjira, let's leave the Lost Forest first. Young Tilda. Yanjira nodded, supported Nazu with one hand, and waved her right paw holding the super spoon. Teleport. In an instant. The illusory spot lights up. But then, the bodies of Natsi and Yanjira, who had gradually vanished, suddenly burst like a short circuit, and then reappeared in place. Yanjira looked surprised, while Natsi, who was beside her, turned her eyes behind her. Only see. One to the left and one to the right, the two figures are similar to Yanjira, but it is the evolved Hootie cross-legged in the void, floating slowly, blocking their retreat. At the same time, at the entrance of the Lost Forest where nothing was left, a rippled blue spiritual curtain was standing there. And in the void outside this layer of spiritual curtain, there are 5 Hooties sitting cross-legged. Seeing this, Nazi's face suddenly sank. Young Tilda. Yanjira also immediately dodged and stopped in front of Nazsui. A horizontal spoon. In an instant, a thought force barrier suddenly rose up and stopped in front of him. However, Hootie, whose eyes were both glowing with red light, did not do anything immediately, but both stared at Nazi closely. Subsequently, 2 mental fluctuations with almost identical frequencies rose from the bodies of these 2 Hootie. Little girl, you can't hold that thing, so you should hand it over obediently. In this way, I will also give you a chance to live. Nazi heard the words, but she didn't have any meaning to answer. She directly pulled away Yanjira, who was in front of her, holding on to the injury, that right palm that had ignited a green flame at some point. Swipe forward suddenly. You actually dare to trigger your mental power. Boom. In the sudden sharp roar, the surging green flame swelled in an instant, turned into a fierce impact beam, and rushed towards the 2 Hootie like a mountain and a rock. Immediately. Boom. In the dense forest only a few kilometers away. A faint roar came. Huh. Baizi, who had gone deep into the lost forest for some distance, paused in his footsteps and narrowed his eyes slightly when he felt the obvious shaking from the soles of his feet. This level of movement, as well as the shock from the ground, can at least be caused by an energy level close to the Heavenly King level. And location. It turned out to be the direction when he came. Thinking of this, Baizi frowned, and when he and Chirulian looked at each other, he was about to say something. Ow tilde. Accompanied by the short warning sound of the wind speed dog rushing up from behind. A brilliant light and shadow flashed not far from Baizi's body. Next second, the blood-stained girl in Yanjira, who was holding a half-spoon in her hand, emerged and squeezed out of the void of light and shadow. Huh, Nazi. Baizi recognized the girl's identity at a glance, and was officially the owner of the super energy gym in Golden City, Nazi. However, how could Nazi appear here? And, is it hurt so badly? Looking at Nazi, who seemed to have fallen into a coma, Baizi's doubts kept rising. And then, "Be careful," with the ethereal voice ringing in my mind. 1, 2, 3. A full 7 phantoms flashed one after another, surrounding Nazi and Baizi, who was also in the encirclement. "Who d?" Baizi narrowed his eyes. While recognizing the identity of the other party, in the pupils, an unseen brilliance suddenly flashed through. "Who d? Heavenly King high rank, level 66, 5100ths. Who d? Tianwang Elementary, level 60, 8100ths. Who d? Tianwang Elementary, level 60, 2100ths. Who d? Quasi Tianwang Dian, Feng, level 59, 99/100ths, 307. Who d? Quasi Tianwang Peak, Peak, level 59, 99/100ths. Who d? Quasi Tianwang Peak, Peak, level 59, 99/100ths. Who d? Quasi Tianwang Peak, Peak, level 59, 99/100ths. 1 high-level Heavenly King, 2 first-level Heavenly Kings, and 4 are almost one step away from entering the peak of the Heavenly King's realm, the peak Quasi-King. Not to mention the rumored quasi-god level overlord Who d? The chasing lineup of the Lost Forest is indeed luxurious to the extreme. As for why Baizi was convinced that this was a chase. Not to mention Nazi's injury, these Houthi were so aggressive as soon as they were surrounded, and the undisguised killing intent was about to condense into substance. Okay. But why was Nazi hunted down by the Houthi tribe in the Lost Forest? So hot. It's exactly the extent of your life and death, right? And just when Baizi's thoughts turned sharply, Cherulian's telepathy, and the overlapping voices that rose from Houdi's body, with almost the same frequency, rang in Baizi's mind and ears successively. Baizi, I feel it. The thing that attracted me is on that woman's body. Human, I advise you not to meddle in your own business. And, as long as you exit the Lost Forest now, I can call the shots and reward you with a gifted Casey cub. How? The voice rose, and the Houthi who was facing Baizi suddenly raised his eyes and turned Baizi's eyes. In the next second, invisible fluctuations followed the moment when the eyes of the two sides met, and invaded in an instant. Chapter 88, Turn Your Face. The Hidden Presence of the Lost Forest. For full order. Suddenly, Baizi's expression became dazed for a moment. But next second, under the protection of the slightly stinging eyebrows and a majestic but gentle mental force, Baizi suddenly woke up. Hypnosis, or fantasy light. Baizi didn't seem to be annoyed by being attacked at all, and tilted his head in an unexplained sense. At the same time, open your hands. Hold and stop Cerulean, who was about to run away almost immediately, and the wind speed dog. Hu Di also seemed a little surprised by Baizi's reaction. He paused, and his eyes quickly swept across Cherulean and Fengsugo. The overlapping sound also disappeared, and the deep spiritual voice came again. You are such an interesting young man. Well, the conditions are still the same as before, you just need to leave. As compensation, in addition to the Cathy Cub that I promised you earlier, I can also give you an extra core spar of the super energy system. Also, I can give you all these things in advance. How? The voice fell, as if to show sincerity. I saw the Hu Di, with a wave of his right arm holding a spoon, a huddled sleeping Cathy and a pink irregular sphere. And it is different from the core spar obtained from Sharona and Shaolin. The core spar of this superpower attribute. It's the size of a fist. Brilliant. Baizi immediately gave a thumbs up to Hu Di, with a smile on his face, and then neatly put the fist-sized core spar of super energy attributes into his backpack. Then he took out another luxury ball and lightly tapped Casey's forehead. Red light flashes. Was simply income into the Pokeball. Yangjira, who was on the side, saw this scene, and was silent, but there was a trace of sadness and determination in his eyes. Before, when he heard the young man in front of him calling out his trainer's name, he was relieved, thinking that he had met an acquaintance of his trainer. But it was unexpected. This acquaintance was simply bought now. At the moment, there is no superpower blessing from the trainer. I am afraid that with its strength, it can only deal with a hoodie below the Heavenly King level at most. Little Master. Yongjira's heart gradually sank. Go, in his eyes, the desire to live and die. But suddenly, Yongjira's body shook, and the will to die in his eyes quickly dissipated, and then, the look of surprise and forced cover, up flashed one after another. To be frank, this guy has no acting skills, and his performance is very obvious. But luckily no one noticed it. Look, T. And here, after putting everything away, Baizi gave Hoodie a, look. There is also no, Hoodie, activity and action. Behind. The 4 hummingbirds that were originally encircled slowly drifted to both sides, making way for a passage. Then, goodbye, destined, if there is a opportunity, in the future, I will, repay you, my friend. Baizi grinned inexplicably at the strongest, Hoodie, who was in the lead. Then just turn around. Walk towards the entrance to the lost forest in the direction you came from. Sighed. Cerulean fluttered slowly with her back to Baizi, and the wind speed dog waited until Baizi almost walked out of the encirclement before being on guard and slowly retreating. Seeing this, Hoodie did not suspect him. After all, their first meeting was unpleasant, defensive, and it seemed normal. In other words, if this young man, who seems to him to be quite shrewd, behaves unprepared, he will be a little worried. At this moment, Baizi has already stepped out of the encirclement of Hoodie, and between his steps, it seems that he accidentally crushed a dead tree beside his feet. In a crisp sound. Cerulean, who had her head down, suddenly raised her head, revealing that little face full of murderous intent. Give it to me, go to hell. In the icy and tender voice, the lavender thought power around Cerulean's body boiled like boiling water, and turned into a shocking wave that rolled to both sides. Poochie one by one in the sound of a watermelon-like explosion. The 4 Hoodie who were defenseless on both sides were immediately wrapped in the waves of psychic power, and they were instantly crushed into blood foam by the huge force. And at the same time, the wind speed dog, who had not completely withdrawn from the encirclement after coaxing a book, suddenly burst into raging flames, and the 4 legs worked hard, and the speed was very fast. Like a line of fire, it skipped the remaining 3, Hoodie, in an instant. Bang! Bang! Kacha, 2 front feet each stepped on the back of a Hoodie. Under the pressure of heavy force, the sharp claws penetrated the back of the back and nailed it on the dojue. In the mouth of the blood basin shrouded in black mist, the leading, Hoodie, was also tightly pinched by sharp teeth, and the evil energy was continuously injected like a nemesis, disintegrating the opponent's resistance. Flash charge. Fast. Mount Taishan hits the top. Bite. The rapid combos like the clouds and flowing water of the pierce directly knocked down the 3 king-level Hoodie, and completely disintegrated the opponent's ability to resist. The fighting literacy of the wind speed dog is finally fully revealed for the first time, which is amazing. And until this time, the system's prompt sound was long overdue. Your Cerulean kills Hoodie x4, gains a little, gains experience plus 60, super annihilation proficiency plus 4. Your wind speed dog defeated Hoodie x3, slightly gained, insufficient experience gain, flare charge proficiency plus 3, divine speed proficiency plus 3, Taishan topping proficiency plus 3, bite proficiency plus 3. Yang tilde. On the side, Yongjira, whose whole body was tensed and prepared, looked bewildered. Is this different from what was said before? Didn't they say that after Cerulean's sneak attack was successful, I wanted to help the opponent to suppress and disintegrate the 4 quasi-king, peak Hoodie? But you'll be dried to blood in one fell swoop, and you want me to help out with a hammer. I'm afraid I didn't go up. Accidentally, he was shot together and died there. Looking at the scarlet blood splattered all over the ground, young Gila couldn't help but shivered. Shrinking his neck, trying to reduce his own sense of existence. Chiru tilde. Cerulean leaned over to Baizi's side nervously, lowered her head, and dared not look at Baizi's face. After all, from the beginning, Baizi made it very clear in his telepathy that it is good to disintegrate the opponent's fighting ability to the greatest extent possible, and there is no need to kill. But as long as she thought of the previous scene where the other party tried to assassinate Baizi, she was completely unable to control the killing intent in her heart. Don't say stay away. One shot, hand. I couldn't help but tried my best to trigger the exclusive skills that I used for the first time so far, Super Annihilation. The opponent was directly crushed into blood foam. It's alright, you did a great job, Cerulean, thank you for protecting me with all your might. Baizi rubbed Cerulean's little head with a chuckle, and chuckled. How could he possibly blame Cerulean for such a thing? Although he is very clear, these Hootie are very likely to be manipulated. But even so what? Compared with Cerulean, they were nothing but grass in Baizi's eyes. The order not to harm these Hootie lives is for the sake of righteousness in the heart. But if you want to blame Cerulean, who is wholeheartedly for her, for this. Impossible. Baizi. Cerulean pouted, and there was a faint cry, obviously moved. And until this time, the prosperous, dazed, Hootie, recovered from this sudden shock. You bastard. How dare you? How dare you play me? Humans who don't believe their words. Damn. Hootie, body, the violent spiritual power shook the air, forming bursts of roars, incompetent fury. Think of it overrunning a family, even successfully plotting and suppressing the quasi-god overlord, and occupying the Lost Forest and the existence of superpower-type secret treasures for more than 10 years. Now, Gujiao has been calculated by a hairy boy. And such a complete loss. All the top combat powers of the controller put into it. There is no way for it to counteract it at all. Hateful. 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 The unstoppable rage kept accumulating in his heart, making it almost crazy. But it couldn't leave the central area for a while, and after losing these Hootie, it really has no way to spear. Little devil, I advise you not to make mistakes. You don't know what you are facing. If you are my enemy, I will send you, and all your relatives and friends, to the underworld. Noisy. Baizi, who was walking towards Nazi, frowned. Next second, bang, a cold color flashed in the eyes of the wind speed dog, and the surging evil energy suddenly increased the perfusion. This spiritual power hidden in Hootie's body, suddenly disillusioned like a bubble. And then, your wind speed dog is defeated. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 89. Super Orb, the determination of the wind speed dog to burn. For full order. Boom inside the Lost Forest, a barren land, an invisible force vibrated the surrounding atmosphere violently. For a time, the earth and rocks rolled. And the only one in this barren land, the giant tree in the sky whose root system stretches almost the entire Lost Forest also trembled along with it. The sparse, withered and yellow leaves were scattered again. Make this rare ancient tree even more withered. Under the tree, a huge and sturdy figure was sitting on top of a glass-colored crystal. And inside the crystal, in the black mist that floats up and down, a bright yellow figure sits cross-legged in the void. This is a Hootie with a somewhat different shape. Compared with ordinary Hootie, not only did black lines appear on the surface of the body from time to time, but two long snow-white eyebrows grew under the smooth and full forehead. Now, although this man with white eyebrows has a calm demeanor, his body that trembles from time to time, and the superpower that flickers around him like a short circuit. Knowing the situation of the other party is definitely not good. Whoa. After venting for a while, the burly figure was breathing heavily, gritted his teeth, and said hatefully, "Damn brat. If I hadn't been able to leave this place for the time being, I would have to tear you apart and cramp to relieve my heart the hatred of the head." However, as soon as its voice fell, a slightly scattered mental force rushed towards it instantly. Suddenly, the sturdy figure burst into anger. Okay, Do you think that without the boost of the super orb, you will be able to turn the sky? I tell you, don't even think about it. Even without the superpower orb's boost, what can you do with your old family who are running out of fuel and are constantly eroded by evil energy? You can't do anything. The more you struggle, the faster you die. Saying that, a violent mental force rose from the black orb above the head of the sturdy figure and pressed it down. The majestic spiritual power is like a wave, like the sea and the sky sweeping. But at the moment of contact between the two sides, the scattered mental power that was like a small boat did not show any signs of decline. For a time, the two sides fell into a stalemate in an instant, and they were entangled for nearly half an hour, and the scattered mental power was outnumbered by the other party's numerical advantage, and it was consumed little by little. Inside the spar, a wisp of blood dripped from the corner of the mouth, which was wrapped in the dark mist. But the sturdy figure is obviously not as strong as his tone. Although the tyrannical mental power is vast, it has also been consumed by most of it. Even if it is withdrawn, the breath is visible to the naked eye. The most essential collision of this kind of spiritual power lacks the augmentation of the super orb, and it is no longer able to kill the opponent almost without damage like before. The face of the sturdy figure became more and more gloomy, and the uncontrollable strong malice was constantly rising. And right now, inside the spar, the slightly scattered mental power emerged again, and spread towards the other party with incomparable determination. Hash hash hash. The complexion of the sturdy figure was as black as the bottom of a pot, and the pervading killing intent made its tyrannical mental power stained with a little blood. You immortal. The next second, the frantic mental storm surged into the sky again. Give me a quick death. Lost in the outskirts of the forest. Edge zone. Woo. Walking out of a tent that was simply set up as a temporary medical room, Baizi wiped the sweat from his forehead slightly. Nazi's injury was very serious, and it was not easy to deal with. It took Baizi a lot of effort just to remove the venom. Afterwards, suture cleaning, dressing were required. After some first aid, after Nazi's injury was completely stabilized, almost an hour had passed. Not to mention, Nazi's wounds are mainly concentrated in the chest and abdomen. Although the doctor is not shy, but after all, there are differences between men and women. It doesn't matter if you look at it, but you can directly use it. This is indeed a bit irritating for the innocent boy Baizi. So, Nazi was injured by a puffy pig that occupies a magpie's nest, and the reason why the puffy pig didn't want to let you go is because of this thing. Baizi raised his eyebrows slightly. And along the direction of his hand, pointing, a crystal-clear jade bead that does not seem to be very mysterious is being played with joy by Cerulean. The gods are obscure. Although it looks unremarkable, according to Cerulean's telepathic explanation, Baizi knows how precious this thing is. This transparent jade bead called Super Orb has 3 effects. 1. As long as you carry it, your mental power can be increased by 20% of the normal state, and, in a short time, it can reach 50% temporary boost effect. Second, it has the effect of continuously nourishing the carrier's spiritual power, and can subtly enhance the carrier's spiritual power. Third, the carrier's induction of superpower factors will be greatly increased, and even the power of the law of superpower attributes can be realized by this. To be frank, these 3 abilities are one by one perverted. It's no wonder that the dove occupying the magpie's nest looks so mad. If such a treasure is lost, whoever puts it on it will go crazy. Baizi secretly murmured in his heart. After listening to Nazi's Yanjira and the 3 sober Hooty's explanations, he probably knew what happened. To put it simply, this is actually a story of a farmer and a snake. A few decades ago, the Yehudi tribe adopted this pig, who was still a jumping pig, and who wandered to the Kanto region for unknown reasons. Because of his diligence and hard work, and his good qualifications, Pupu Pig was carefully cultivated by the Hooty ethnic group, and was regarded as his own by the then quasi-god overlord Hooty. But 10 years ago, Taking advantage of the quasi-god level overlord Hudi's failure to break through the realm of the gods, his strength was greatly reduced. Poo-Poo Pig, who had been secretly promoted to the championship level, finally made a sneak attack. After inflicting heavy damage to the overlord Hudi, he found that he couldn't kill him, so he sealed it in the energy crystals that had been prepared and filled with the liquefied evil factor. Continue to occupy the super orb and the lost forest. And with the help of its special racial talent, he controlled all the Hudi, thereby maintaining the illusion that the lost forest is still the same. Everything went as planned. In 10 years, it is lurking in the lost forest, and with the help of super orbs, it continues to grow stronger, and constantly wipes out the spiritual power of Hudi, in order to completely solve this hidden danger one day, and from now on, the sky is high and the pig is flying. But unexpectedly, from yesterday, in the lost forest, a series of incidents occurred that caught this Poo-Poo Pig by surprise. Firstly, Qinglu went straight into the lost forest to go on a rampage in order to find a suitable Casey, attracting most of Poo-Poo Pig's attention. Then, Nazi also happened to be at the meeting, and with her powerful superpower, she moved directly into the center of the lost forest. In the end, Beimei Hudi, who had been showing his powerlessness to resist, also kept his hand. After not knowing what agreement was reached with Nazi through telepathy, she struggled to immobilize the pig and let Nazi take the opportunity to take the super orb. Certainly, Nazi also paid a heavy price for this. The heavy blow to her abdomen was the wound caused by the Poo-Poo Pig that was broken free, and the last one that moved in her instant, using a highly poisonous trick. I didn't expect this kid Qinglu. I did hear him say that he was going to the lost forest to subdue Casey. Tisk tisk, as expected of the protagonist, no matter where you go, it's not peaceful. Baizi didn't consciously inwardly muttered. Yangjira nodded. But Baizi came to another judgment based on this information. It seems that the puffy pig can't leave the center of the lost forest. Can't, or dare not. Baizi, a different kind of light flashed in the. He didn't intend to let this puffy pig continue to nest in this lost forest. Not for justice. It's just that I don't want to leave such a hidden danger. After all, letting such a one have a grudge with himself, and also has a Blackbeard, Marshall. D. The puffy pig of Tich's style continues to survive, which is really not Baizi's style. Well, for the safety of me and my friends, it's better to send this group to see the Pluto dragon. Baizi's eyes were dim. Not to mention, between the thoughts, the virtual panel of the system suddenly appeared, and automatically jumped to the last line of the reward record one by one. Your wind speed dog repelled the mental body of Poo-Poo Pig, and gained a little. The experience value acquisition is close to the critical point. Bite the proficiency +1 is no longer a lack of experience points, but close to the tipping point. So, is it true that by defeating this puffy pig, the wind speed dog can break through the cage and advance to the championship field? But the strength is unknown, at least it is the puffy pig above the championship field. Is it really something that the wind speed dog can deal with? Baizi pondered in his heart. Turning his head inadvertently, he happened to meet the gray-black eyes of the wind speed dog, and the burning determination in it suddenly shocked his heart. Chapter 90. Auspicious Eggs, Challenge, Baizi's Determination. For full order. Golden City. Spirit Center. Hello, little guy Tilda. Seeing that Nazi was pushed into the consultation room by Miss Joy and Happy Egg, Baizi turned his head and smiled at a curious auspicious egg looking at him behind the counter. Lucky Tilda. Seeing this, Geely Egg immediately shrank his body, obviously a shy child. Hey, little brother, this is your elf picture book, please keep it. On the side, Miss Junsha, who was full of sassy energy, handed Baizi the elf picture book she had checked in her hand. Looking up and down at the handsome wind speed dog, he sighed a little. I didn't expect you to be a trainer who only started this year. With such a handsome wind speed dog, I thought you had already traveled a few times. It's been a year. Baizi smiled and took the picture book back. Not long ago. After feeling the determination conveyed by the wind speed dog, Baizi finally decided to complete this selected trial with the wind speed dog. But before that, he needs to settle the sick patient beside him. It was getting late, and in order to hurry, Baizi chose to directly drive the wind speed dog and galloped all the way into the Golden City. Maybe it's because the behavior is too wild. Therefore, soon after rushing into the Golden City, Miss Junsha called to stop. Baizi ignored this, and Miss Junsha naturally followed up. However, after confirming the identity of the patient Nazi and checking the elf picture book that Baizi voluntarily handed over, the little misunderstanding was naturally resolved. Okay, I hope you can have a good time in the Golden City. Also, riding elves are not allowed to speed in urban areas, you know. After a final warning, Miss Junsha got up and left. Before leaving, still not forgetting to look at the wind speed dog standing outside the door of the center of the elf, with thick hair on the temples and flying arbitrarily in the night wind. So handsome. Even within the clan, it is hard to find such a handsome wind speed dog. See you next time, Tilda. Seeing that Miss Junsha had left, Baizi also got up and waved to the auspicious egg who was lying on the edge of the table secretly looking at him. After seeing the little girl retracting her round body again, it was a little funny. Think for a moment. Baizi took out a few pieces of homemade cakes from his backpack and put them on the counter. Dong dong, knocking on the table, seeing where the auspicious egg is hiding, can't hide it, sneaking over from behind the swivel chair in its shape, he pointed to the cake on the table and said, "This is a gift for you, no if you don't like it, just accept it." It is hard for Baizi not to have a good impression of Gili eggs, who are gentle in nature and save lives and wounds. Send a few cakes, just love it. Putting things down, Baizi simply turned around and walked out of the center of the elf, and came to the wind speed dog. Just as he was about to turn over. Lucky Tilda. The auspicious egg swayed and ran out with a chubby figure. After coming to Baizi's side, he put his hands on his stomach and took out the lucky egg that was conceived today. Then he pointed his toes, raised it high, and handed it to Baizi. Is it going to be given to me? Baizi crouched down and asked in a slightly surprised and warm voice. Lucky. The character of this little guy seems to be really shy. After stuffing the lucky egg in his hand directly into Baizi's arms, he stepped on his little feet and ran back behind the counter to hide. However, the sharp-eyed Baizi still saw that the other party was secretly hiding behind the counter and looked at himself secretly. Baizi suddenly burst out laughing, and was so cute by this little guy. Thank you. Reaching out and raising the lucky egg in the first hand, Baizi carefully wrapped it up, and then turned over, onto the wind speed dog's broad back. Let's go. An order. Next second, one by one, along with a burst of dust and smoke, the wind speed dog suddenly turned into an orange-red silhouette and disappeared in place. Lucky Tilda lucky. Gili Egg was a little stunned at first, and then he hurried to the door, looking at the disappearing backs of Baizi and Fengsugo from a distance. Behind. Walking out of the consultation room, Miss Joy, who happened to have a complete view of this scene, frowned slightly. Night, lost forest. Cloudless. The moon and stars are rare. When Baizi and Fengsugo felt this place, Kathy, led by more than a dozen Yangjira and Sanjihudi, greeted them at the periphery of the lost forest. The Casey that was gifted to him by Poo Pig is also there, but he is only a quasi-king level aptitude. Although other trainers think that it is already a top-quality pet that is hard to find, it is difficult to become a white man. Z's eyes. I don't like it, plus this itself is not a formal capture. Therefore, Baizi was released. Ngong, please accept this. Hu Di, who was headed by him, still had tooth marks left on his waist and abdomen, but his expression showed no resentment, only gratitude. And at this moment, it was handed a spoon with a bright light. This is a superpower spoon blessed by our entire ethnic group. As long as it is crushed, it can be directly teleported out of the lost forest. Ngong, you must be careful in this trip. If you can't do it, please put your own safety first. Good. Bai Zi nodded with a smile. Possessing the power of Bai Zi to distinguish between good and evil, he naturally knew that the other party did not lie. Take the super spoon in your arms. Then, under the gaze of a kind of elf, Bai Zi and Wind Speed Dog stepped into the lost forest again. This time, without the mental interference of a group of super elves, although it was late at night, Bai Zi and the Wind Speed Dog walked much more smoothly than the previous day, and soon, they entered the center. As far as the eye can see, it is a completely desolate landscape. As the only withered old tree with a little vitality, a sturdy figure with a golden sword sat on a dark fog, shrouded glass-colored crystal. All of a sudden it came into view. It looked like a pig walking on 2 feet, with 2 small black pearls inlaid on the top of its head. Ears, arms, legs, belly and buttocks were black, the inside of the ears, nose and long the tail is pink and the rest is purple. 0. Ask for flowers. The center of its body is also inlaid with a pearl that seems to be slightly larger, but slightly flatter, like a button. To be frank, the overall image of the puffy pig is a little funny. But this one in front of me not only has a body that is far superior to that of the same clan, but at a glance, there will be a fierce and unusual aura blowing towards the face. Race, poof pig. Attribute, super energy. Characteristics, I go my own way. Level, Champion Junior, level 71, 4100. Potential, Champion. HP, 80, Attack, 45, Defense, 65, Special Attack, 90, Special Defense, 110, Speed, 80. Skills, Shake Dance, Hiccup, Leap, Mental Wave, Smell Detection, Illusory Light, Auto-Suggestion, Strange Light, Magical Reflection, Mind Hammer, Power Gem, Sleep, Snoring, Mental Impact, Flare for Tatter, Mental Strength Red, Bounce. Close Black Lens Bracket. Genetic Skill, Trick. Status, General, Lethargic. Introduction. The acquired accumulation is far superior to the general super elves, and the spiritual power is extremely strong, but the degree of condensed is quite unsatisfactory. 0. Has it accumulated richness but lost its condensedness? Bai Zi's eyes narrowed. And this time, sitting on top of the crystal, Poo-Poo Pig also noticed Bai Zi for the first time. However, it did not attack the first time, but glared at those bloodshot eyes and said fiercely, "Little devil. Hand over the super orb. I can consider keeping you all." Corpse. The sound was terrifying. And carrying a huge mental coercion, it went straight to Bai Zi's direction. Woo. The Wind Speed Dog suddenly growled and stopped in front of Bai Zi. Around the body, a monstrous power suddenly rose up, and it confronted it without giving way. Intimidating feature. The imposing manner of the thorny Wind Speed Dog and this fierce and abnormal mental pressure, confronted with each other in the void, and suddenly showed bursts of atmospheric distortion. The filaments of lightning also flashed and exploded between the two. At time, it seems to be comparable. But Bai Zi, who was behind the Wind Speed Dog, still felt a tightness in his heart, and he couldn't even catch his breath. Obviously, in this invisible confrontation, Poo-Poo Pig has the upper hand. But seeing this situation, a smile suddenly appeared on Bai Zi's face. Sure enough, you shouldn't be able to leave the place, right? Or I'm more accurate, you can't leave your feet, then a spar. Between the words. With an unparalleled certainty. But when Poo-Poo Pig heard the words, his face suddenly stiffened. Poo-Poo Pig seems to want to say something, but at this moment Bai Zi has no idea of listening at all. The corner of his mouth chewed a stern smile, and the cold light in his eyes suddenly poured out. Wind Speed Dog, use the long howl. Chapter 91. The weak beat the strong. Holy fire. For full order. Ow. Under the moonlight, the tall and handsome wolf dog howled at the moon, and invisible power condensed from the void, blessing on the Wind Speed Dog. The linear micromang flashed continuously, enhancing the attacking power of the Wind Speed Dog. Humph. Poo-Poo Pig's pupils shrunk to the size of pinholes suddenly slammed, and while snorting coldly, he patted his abdomen, and the flat gem on it suddenly shone brightly. Swish swish, one by one, countless brown-yellow streamers blazed out from it, and smashed towards the wind speed dog overwhelmingly. A rock-type trick that has twice the restraint against wind speed dogs, the gem of strength. Woo tilde. The wind speed dog, who was about to avoid it subconsciously, stopped in the next moment, and the spark rose faintly in the mouth, as if preparing to resist. Because, it found from the streamer root that the power gem lost, not only itself, but also its own trainer was also included in the attack range. Once it dodged, then it is equivalent to exposing Baizi to attack. Hey tilde. Seeing this scene, Poo Poo Pig's face suddenly turned into a sneer. It is because of this kind of ridiculous emotion and fetters that you have become so weak. Thinking like this, Poo Poo Pig's movements didn't stop at all, and the thought power of his hands together and materialized suddenly condensed in his palms. The situation in the field was naturally also seen by Baizi. Poo Poo Pig's abacus was pawned, thinking, if he wants to limit the wind speed dog's mobility, of course he knows it all too well. But don't worry about me, trust your comrades, Baizi shouted. Avoid, roar. Pick up the hot sand. The wind speed dog's expression slackened, and when he saw the faint surging black mist under Baizi's feet, his heart finally relaxed. Roar. The sound waves that were almost as substantial pushed out circles of air explosions in the air, wrapping them on Poo Poo Pig's body. In an instant, the unstoppable pulling sensation emerged, and the pervasive sound waves quickly disturbed the energy in its body. The strong mental thoughts condensed in the pig's hand, popped one by one, suddenly shattered. Roar's skill, power is 0, the ability is to forcefully disperse the elves in the field, pull the reserve elves into the field, and the wild elves will forcibly end the battle. Baizi used it here to interrupt Poo Poo Pig's skill display, which was quite a subtle strategy. And at the same time, because of the wind speed dog's dodge, the ray cast by the Poo Pig's power gem immediately rushed towards Baizi. Then, in the stunned eyes of Poo Poo Pig, it was directly swallowed up by a layer of dark energy like a mist, without causing a wave. How is this possible? Poo Poo Pig's eyes widened. To know. It did its best for this power gem. In its expectation, even if the wind speed dog gave his life to stop it, the aftermath of its energy shock would be enough to tear the kid behind him to pieces. Even if it doesn't work, it can at least injure each other. Can. But how can you not even make a splash? This is the energy attack released by its champion-level Poo Poo Pig with all its strength, not the water splash made by the Carp King. And, even if it was a water splash, that would at least give me a splash, come on. Poo Poo Pig's face was blushing and red, and the unknown fear gave birth to a kind of inexplicable restlessness in his heart, which was not tough, and his breath gradually became heavier. And right now, the other side. The wind speed dog, who roared to disperse the Poo Poo Pig's mental strength ability, has already penetrated his front paws into the ground beside his feet. Gululu, the soil layer on the ground instantly turned red, and then, bubbles appeared like boiling water. Next second, the right arm muscle under the wind speed dog's hair was madly agitated, and a scorching sand curtain was violently lifted by the wind speed dog, wrapped in the ground attribute factor, and headed towards the puffy pig. Smashed past. Hot sand land. Woo tilde tilde tilde. Poo Poo Pig's breathing became heavier and heavier, and the white breath came out, and the two black gems on the top of the head suddenly glowed. The energy discs that turned into pieces the size of the mouth of a bull flew out, facing the red-hot sand curtain. Mental wave. Bang 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 bang. The skills of the two sides collided head-on in midair, but even if the wind speed dog passed the long howl of attack, strike blessing, this blow of the sand-hot hell is still in a stalemate with the spiritual wave of the puffy pig. Down into the downwind. The scorching sand curtain was crushed into pieces, and the blasting wind blew the remaining sand grains in the direction of the wind speed dog. But this was not beyond Baizi's expectations. Fighting by leaps and bounds, so that the gap between energy levels can be crushed by his heart, and as a trainer, it is his responsibility to narrow and even reverse such a gap. Because this is not only the battle of Fengsugo, an elf, but also a battle that belongs to him. Since Chang Hao still can't equalize the gap in combat power, then let's take a gamble. While thinking about it in his heart, Bai Zi immediately gave an order. Feng Speed Dog, use hard support, and rush directly over. Order both. The Wind Speed Dog also gritted his teeth without hesitation, let the hot sand burn his hairy body, and instantly disappeared into the smoke. Next second. Roar. Accompanied by a passionate roar, the Wind Speed Dog, whose momentum has skyrocketed again, sprang out from the dust and smoke that had been broken open one by one, and there were patches of red light like the color of magma all over his body, apparently in a burning state. Bet 1. Bai Zi's eyes are bright. The hot sand has a certain chance to cause the hit person to burn, and the hard support can increase the attack power of the spirit in an abnormal state, and ignore the attack having effect caused by the burn. In this way, the combination of the two is equivalent to the attack power of the Wind Speed Dog has been increased again. Follow the victory, use flare charge. Tilde. With Bai Zi's successive attack commands, the Wind Speed Dog did not stop at all, and the flaming flames suddenly spewed out to cover the whole body, and the rolling heat flowed out of the impact into a wave, burning like a rocket from the string. Twisting the air, attacked directly in the direction of Poo Poo Pig. With this blow, even Poo Poo Pig himself felt threatened. But it can't leave the spar under its feet, it can only resist. Tilde. Not daring to be slighted in the slightest, Poo Poo Pig suddenly propped up his hands forward, and in the next second, countless super power factors converged and turned into a layer of transparent crystal wall erected in the middle of the two. Reflective wall, super energy-based skills, can weaken half of the damage of the opponent's physical attack. It is a very practical state-based defense skill 0. But is it really a reflection wall? The corners of Bai Zi's mouth chewed a stern arc again. You are fooled, Puff Pig, give me this blow completely. The teeth of the spirit. Ka, roar tilde. A low roar sounded, and 2 rows of spiritual power, pink-purple energy teeth gathered in the void. In an instant, the transparent crystal wall composed of the reflective wall was completely eaten up. What? Poo Poo Pig was startled, but before he could respond, a huge dog's head suddenly appeared in front of him as the heat wave rolled. You can't even think about. Seeing that there was no way to avoid it, Poo Poo Pig's expression turned fierce, and as the light of the 2 black pearls above his head soared, a layer of pink energy barrier suddenly formed from Poo Poo Pig's forehead. The next second, Poo Poo Pig did not retreat but advanced, and slammed down fiercely. Thought hammer. Hit hard, think beautifully. With a sneer, Bai Zi suddenly waved his hand and said, fast speed. Crush. Woo tilde. The Wind Speed Dog in midair suddenly shook its head and twisted its body. Then, the body shrank and shrunk, the teeth interlaced, and suddenly gnawed on Poo Poo Pig's arm. Kacha. In the sound of the flesh and blood flying through the cracks, the Wind Speed Dog pulled the puffy pig whose defense had been weakened again from the spar, and the dog's head twisted, and slammed it on the ground in front of it. On. Give it the final blow, the flame wheel plus flash charge. Pa. Then, with the final command accompanied by Bai Zi snapping his fingers, the Wind Speed Dog turned into a super large fireball with 1.7 revolutions. Like a meteor hitting the ground, it slammed into the puffy pig, whose breath was in great decline. The flames surged, and the dim forest was suddenly illuminated by the upside-down rotating semicircle of flames. Soon, the light fades away. What was revealed was the Wind Speed Dog standing proudly in the center of the scorched earth, with a slightly scattered breath, and the pitch-black puffy pig that was scorched under its feet. Obviously, in the face of Bai Zi's series of tactics like a storm, even if the level is higher than 1, it still can't avoid the fate of its failure. And then -1, you commanded the Wind Speed Dog to defeat the puffy pig, and you have gained a little, experience value +1, intimidation proficiency +1, roaring, hot sand earth. Flash charge, speed, bite and other skills proficiency +1 close black lens bracket. Ding! Congratulations to the host for defeating the strong with the weak, breaking through the shackles, and getting a reward for diligent work. Holy Fire designated Elf 1, wins Speed Dog. Chapter 92, Advance to the Championship. The foreshadowing of the quasi-god Hooty. For full order. Huh. Byzegian raised his eyebrows, and his expression was a little surprised. Is there a reward for working like this? But just when he was about to open the secondary page to check. Not far from the wind Speed Dog, there was suddenly a lot of movement one by one. Who, ooh. Accompanied by the sound of the system's prompt, under the accumulation of the 1-point experience value, trapped in the cage for a long time, the wind Speed Dog, which once broke through the realm, let out a melodious howl that shook the world. Immediately afterwards, terrifying flames emerged from its body, mixed with rising steadily, like a heat wave, raging wildly on the ground. That is the coercion of the wind Speed Dog reaching the championship level. Although it is only the first entry, its rich background makes it completely stable at the moment of breaking the boundary. Wind Speed Dog. Finally, at this moment, officially set foot in the championship field. Wind Speed Dog. Champion Elementary, Level 70, 0-100ths. Congratulations, Wind Speed Dog. With a sincere smile on Byze's face, he stepped forward and gave the Wind Speed Dog, who ran to his side, a big hug. Woo tilde. The Wind Speed Dog also rubbed Byze's cheek, and made a whimper, showing his docility as always. Hi. Suddenly, Byze felt a tingling pain in his fingertips. When I retracted my palm, I saw that a blister was burned. Oh too this is. After retreating slightly, Byze realized that there were still a lot of magma-colored plaques on the Wind Speed Dog. Obviously the burning state had not completely subsided. I was negligent. Byze patted the Wind Speed Dog on the shoulder apologetically, and quickly took out the burning spray from the backpack and carefully sprayed the injured area for the Wind Speed Dog. Then, as if he remembered something, he took out the lucky egg given to him from the backpack. Pass it to the mouth of the Wind Speed Dog. Come on, eat it. The lucky egg bred by auspicious eggs has a miraculous effect on healing. After eating it, you should be able to fully recover your physical strength. Sniff tilde. The peculiar smell of lucky eggs seems to have a certain unique attraction to elves. Therefore, without any hesitation, the Wind Speed Dog picked up the lucky egg, bit it into pieces, and chewed it whole and swallowed it. The rolling warm current came from the abdomen and quickly spread to the whole body. The Wind Speed Dog's comfortably squinted eyes, and the slightly tired body suddenly recovered at an amazing speed. Status: fatigued, slightly injured. General: good. What a powerful effect. His eyes flickered slightly, and Byze couldn't help but sigh. And at this time, Kacha, accompanied by a crisp sound, after breaking away from the suppression of Poo-Poo Pig, the crystal that sealed Hooty suddenly shattered. It turned into countless tiny dust spots, flickering like stars in the scattered black mist. And a Hooty with white eyebrows slowly emerged from this mysterious fog and starlight. Original. This all seems quite compelling. But just when the white brow husked out of the fog and fully revealed his figure. But suddenly his body shook. Then, slap, sound, he fell to the ground with his 5 bodies thrown to the ground. Byze. Wind Speed Dog. White eyebrows. There was silence in the air, and the scene fell into an extremely embarrassing situation for a while. The corner of Byze's mouth couldn't help but twitch, but he was still curious about the data of Hooty, the legendary quasi-god overlord famous in Kanto. Therefore, Byze's power surged. Immediately, I swept away Hooty, who was still lying on the ground and pretending to be dead. Race: Hooty, white eyebrow form. Attribute: super energy. Characteristic: spiritual power. Level: champion peak level 79, 99/100ths quasi-god elementary, level 80, 0/100ths. Potential: quasi-god. HP: 55, attack, attack. 50, defense. 45, special attack. 135, special defense. 95, speed, speed. 120. Exclusive skill. Mental attack. Tough and aggressive mental power can continuously weaken opponents. Skills. Mind power, bending spoons, immobilization, teleportation, fantasy light, reflection wall, exchange of venues, spiritual blades, self-regeneration, spiritual shock, spiritual strength, acting, predicting the future, meditation. Genetic skills. Defensive equalization. Prop, bending spoon. Status. Seriously injured, law disordered, energy extremely deficient. Law comprehension. Super energy department 1.2%. Introduction. Hoodie, the overlord-level alienated elf who had half-footed the realm of the gods, accumulated too much superpower factor with the help of the superpower orb of the heaven and earth, making it impossible for him to enter the realm of the gods. Able to complete the complete transformation of the energy in the body, at the door, the success is close to success, the level has dropped seriously, and the long-term erosion and suppression of the evil factor has also caused his strength to decline rapidly, almost half of his foot fell. Good home, guy. In Baizi's heart, he called out a good guy. The reason why this alienated hoodie broke through the realm of gods was because the supply of super orbs was too sufficient. Exhausted. Having learned from the past, Baizi couldn't help but secretly remind himself to remember this, but he couldn't let Cerulean go the old way. At this moment, seeing that no one paid attention to it, he rolled on the ground like an old urchin with white eyebrows, and just rolled over and slumped on the ground. I said, "Brother human, why don't you know how to respect the old and love the young?" Immediately, an old and hoarse voice sounded suddenly. Huh. Hearing this, Baizi was stunned for a moment, then suddenly turned his gaze to Hoodie's eyes, and after a while, he said, "You can speak human words. It's not difficult." Baimei rolled his eyes, urging, "Human brother, I am starving to death, you save the fox to the end, give me something to eat." He heard it, and it was certain that it was not the same spiritual call as Cerulean. So, is this an elf who has learned human language like Team Rocket Meow? Thinking about it, he hesitated for a moment. After judging that the other party did not seem to be malicious, Baizi asked, "I only have some elf coarse grains and energy cubes, is that okay?" No, I don't want to eat." Ah. Baizi was a little speechless. Sometimes he starved to death to eat, and sometimes he didn't want to eat. "You are embarrassing me." Cough. "Embarrass me, Baizi." As if seeing what Baizi was thinking, Baimei stretched out his claw and pointed to the pocket of Baizi's shirt, pouting, and explained, "I want that spoon in your arms. I feel the pure super energy factor, and eating it can replenish the energy of my attributes that are about to be depleted." That's right. Saying that, Baimei rubbed his stomach, and he took out a silver gray spoon out of nowhere and said, "I would like to exchange this with yours. This is the curved spoon I made before I fell into the realm. Although the energy of it has been absorbed by me, after years of warm cultivation, as long as I wear it, I can enhance the power of the superpower system to a certain extent." Quote. "How about it, do you want to change it?" After saying that, Baimei Hoodie came over with a look of helplessness. Baizi's mouth twitched, but without hesitation, he took out the superpower spoon in his arms and threw it towards Baimei. "You don't need to change it, anyway, I have already taken the reward, you can take the spoon yourself." "No, 1 yard is 1 yard." Baimei took the 307 spoons of superpower soup, and threw the curved spoon at Baizi. Fold hard. At the moment when the superpower spoon shattered, I sucked hard, and the superpower spoon that turned into particles suddenly turned into smoke, which was inhaled into my nose and mouth. At the same time, the voice of the spirit with the same tone also rang out, "As for the super orb, don't worry, since this thing fell into the hands of that pig's head in my hand, and it was taken by your kid, then it has something to do with it. Virtuous people have it, but the old man has a word, listen to you or not. This super orb is indeed a fetish, and it is also a shortcut for all superpower elves, but it is too much to pay attention to one in everything. It is naturally no problem to use it to understand the law and increase strength. But it is completely regarded as a shortcut to promote energy level, and uncontrolled absorption will only be harmful and unhelpful. Eating up is not necessarily a good thing. Hoodie's tone was a bit emotional, but it also carried a kind of free and easy, as if he had put down something and gained some because of it. Bai Zi naturally understood that what Bai Mei said was sincere, and couldn't help but admire him. If it was him, he would definitely not be able to be so willing and free. Therefore, I also bowed my heart and thanked him. Thank you, Elder, for letting me know. I will write it down. Oh, ha ha ha, boy, I like you a little bit. Draining the energy in the superpower spoon, the white eyebrows, who had recovered a little, stood up and heard the words, and suddenly laughed out loud. Perhaps, I can invest a little more. To have such a clear consciousness. This kid, I am afraid that there is no limit in the future. Hu Di's eyes contained admiration. Chapter 93, Treasures and Harvests, Joey's Gossip. On the way out of the Lost Forest, Bai Zi's face was filled with an unstoppable smile. Rich, really rich. As expected of a quasi-god overlord who has lived for hundreds of years, with this level of wealth, I am afraid that the Alliance will want to rob him when he knows about it. He shook his head and sighed. Bai Zi, who was riding the wind-speed dog slowly, couldn't help but recall the scene he saw when he entered the private treasure house of Bai Mei Hudi before, not to mention the mountains of various gold, jade, jewelry and minerals. The herbs and evolution stones placed at random are not to be discussed. There are at least hundreds of attribute items that are hard to find in the private library hidden in the ancient wood. To be frank, at first sight, Bai Zi even raised the idea of looting this place. Fortunately, this greed was only fleeting, and it was suppressed by him, gone. After all, the other party treats each other with courtesy, gives generous gifts to each other, and is willing to fully open his private library to himself. If he really does such a thing, I am afraid that even he himself will look down on himself. But to be honest, Bai Mei Hudi is really rich and rich. That's not it. Not only let him choose 10 attribute props to take away, but also let him pack as many as he can pack. Isn't that rude? It's just rude and inhumane, isn't it? Of course, Bai Zi could also see that Lai Hudi had the intention of making good friends and investing in himself. But he didn't hate this method, and he took things with peace of mind. Because he Bai Zi is worth the price. Some choice. Not only did Bai Zi directly collect what Ibrahimovich needed in this private library, but the remaining fire, grass, dark, and ice spar, which already had electricity, water, super spar can. I also selected a piece of Focus Realm for the giant stinger that can see through the opponent's weakness and easier to hit the opponent's vital points. A piece of Preemptive Claw that enhances preemption for Wind Speed Dog. A piece of enhancement for Laplace the Ice attribute move Millennium Unmelted Ice. I chose a black glasses for Zoroha to enhance the evil attribute move, and a very rare natural metal film, and a piece of Spiritual World Cloth. These two were prepared for the unhatched iron dumbbell and Machado respectively. As for Cerulean, the super orb, whose value can be said to far exceed the rest of the attribute items, is naturally hers. However, the super orb cannot be directly integrated into the body like an attribute item, so Bai Zi intends to take the time to combine the bending spoon that Hudi had given before to forge an exclusive prop accessory for Cerulean. Even if it's a gift to celebrate Cerulean's growth from a little supergirl to a supergirl. In addition to these priceless attribute props. Other things. In addition to selecting a few natural diamonds of excellent quality, Bai Zi is ready to enrich the small vault. Almost all of the remaining backpack space was used by him to fill all kinds of precious ores. Meteorite ore, black flash stone, superconductor metal. There are a total of more than a dozen kinds, each of which is a rare mineral that is hard to find in the outside world, and the price will not be worse than the equivalent gold, or even higher. There are also quite a lot of them, at least they can be piled up together, almost half the size of a minecart. Well, I have to brag about the expanded version of the space backpack that I customized from Shaloof Company. This capacity can indeed hold OD tilde V1*B. This wave has directly solved BuyZ's demand for minerals. Now, not to mention supplying an iron dumbbell, even if it is used to supply a big eater like Yukira. Well, with some soil and rocks for satiety, it should be affordable, right? As for how much money BuyZ made in this wave, attribute props aside, this kind of permanent utility property props are basically priceless. Moreover, there have been cases in the market, from the small millions of leaks to the large tens of millions of transaction prices, it is really difficult to estimate. Rather, these ores are relatively easy to value. Roughly according to the ratio of gold, the amount of minerals that BuyZ took away was almost 200 million. 2 billion. Not counting those attribute props and those few natural diamonds. For a time, BuyZ even felt that the weightless space backpack on his back became a little heavy. Returning to the Golden City, BuyZ went to the Elf Center for the first time. Although the wounds on the wind speed dog have been fully cured after spray treatment and consumption of lucky eggs, the state on the attribute panel has never been perfect. Therefore, BuyZ is going to bring the wind speed dog to Joey's place for nursing work, so that the wind speed dog after the war can get a more comprehensive treatment. Lucky tilde. However, just as BuyZ rode the wind speed dog to approach the center of the elf, he saw the auspicious egg standing in front of the door of the center of the elf like a hopeful stone, looking left and right. When he saw himself, he immediately waved his hand happily, but before BuyZ could respond, he turned around again, stepped on his little feet, and rushed back to the gate of the elf center. BuyZ was dumbfounded for a while. He really couldn't figure out whether this auspicious egg liked him or had any other special senses towards him. Jumped off the back of the wind speed dog, and put it back into the elf ball. BuyZ took a big step and entered the door of the elf center. Open black lens bracket welcome tilde. In the gentle electronic voice, BuyZ went straight to the counter and handed over the pokey ball of wind speed dog. Excuse me, Miss Joy, please help me give my wind speed dog a comprehensive treatment. At the same time, looking around, sure enough, I found a hidden auspicious egg from behind Miss Joy. Okay, please wait a moment tilde. Miss Joy's voice was as inspiring as ever, after taking the pokeball and handing it to the other auspicious egg on standby. Only then did he turn around, looking up and down with a slightly odd look on his face. BuyZ. BuyZ looked at Yi Rong for a moment, and then asked with a surprised expression, Miss Joy, is there something wrong with me? Why are you looking at me like this? Miss Joy was stunned for a moment, and immediately got up to cover up. No, it's nothing, I'm just... Oh, yes, I'm just curious about the trainer who saved Miss Nazi yesterday. It caused you trouble, really I'm sorry. No problem. BuyZ frowned and shook his head. In his heart, the other party seemed to be hiding something. His expression changed slightly, and he also casually said, speaking of Nazi, how is she? Thank you for your timely rescue. A splendid gleam flashed in Miss Joey's beautiful eyes, her face full of admiration. The toxins are treated very thoroughly, the wound is the same, the dosage of the treatment spray and the added panacea are also just right. Even the bandaging, there is no problem at all. What? The management good Jiao is perfect. Plus it was delivered on time. I just performed some follow-up medical care, and Miss Nazi has basically recovered. Speaking of this, Joey the lady couldn't help but gave BuyZ a thumbs up. They won the prize. BuyZ smiled. Just as the words continued to unfold, Miss Joey behind the counter suddenly leaned forward. Her beautiful figure was placed on the front desk, her chin rested in her jade hand. She leaned into BuyZ's ear with a gossip face, and asked softly, you should have seen it all. Right, tell me, what do you think? The fragrant exhalation made BuyZ froze for a while. But then, after finally understanding the subconscious words in Miss Joy's words, she suddenly coughed violently. Cough, cough, cough. Spear! Exclamation mark. 8, 5 feet. 6. 1, 0, 9, 7, 8, 2. Open black lens bracket. Ling, long. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 94. Being picked up like a bride, exclusive flame. For full order. The tightness of Miss Joy's tone was beyond Baizi's expectations. After some conversation, she basically didn't find any useful information, and she was actually teased several times by Miss Joy for holding Nazi. However, Baizi was not without gain. At the very least, he could easily feel, that this Miss Joy seemed to have an innate affection for him. It seems as if he knew something about him. Soon after the wind speed dog's nursing and recuperation was finished, after retrieving the Pokeball, Baizi had to leave with doubts. Behind him, looking at Baizi's leaving back, the smile on Miss Joy's face slowly subsided. She lowered her head slightly, looked at Gili Egg, who was staring at the door with burning eyes, and confirmed with a serious look, "Gili Egg, are you sure you're not mistaken? After all, it's been several years." She added this sentence in her mind. Lucky Tilda. Gili Egg shook her chubby body fiercely, and a pair of small short hands gestured in the air excitedly, as if expressing something. Sure, won't you admit your mistake? Miss Joy was stunned for a while, and then a beautiful smile suddenly appeared on her face. Crouched down. He gently hugged the auspicious egg in his arms. Since you are so determined, then I am willing to choose to believe you. I will leave the rest to me, just stay here obediently and wait for that home. The guy will pick you up like a bride, okay? Lou, Lucky. The panicked and embarrassed cry suddenly resounded in the center of the elf. 307 followed. It was Miss Joy's silver bell-like laughter. After leaving the elf center, Baizi did not choose to go to the gym badge immediately, but instead went to the elf house located in the center of the Golden City. As the largest and most prosperous giant city in the Kanto region, the prosperity of Golden City is far from comparable to the cities that Baizi has traveled to before. This is not only the central business circle of the Kanto region, but also has the largest infrastructure in both Kanto and the forefront of technology, including the maglev train station in Kanto and Chengdu. As well as a world-class super business group, the headquarters building of Silver Corporation is also established in the very center of Golden City. It can be said that the Golden City is the economic lifeline of the entire Kanto region. Therefore, even if it is a branch that is also the home of the elves does not have a head office. The area and facilities of the elf house in Golden City far exceed the elf house in Nibi City that Baizi had been to before. Don't say anything else. The quality of the receptionists alone is far better than Nibi City. Welcome, is there anything I can help you with? Well, I'm going to sell a natural pink diamond of more than 5 carats in the house of the elves. You can ask an appraiser to come and identify it. The girl whose appearance was at least 8 points or more stopped breathing for a while. Next second, her eyes swayed like ACBH water, and her voice became extra soft and seductive. Okay, sir, please come with me. After coming out of the House of Elves, Baizi's alliance card had a huge sum of 16 million alliance coins. The female appraiser of the elf house, after carefully identifying the depth, clarity and shape of the natural pink diamond from Baizi, proposed to buy it at a premium that is 1 layer higher than the highest bid price. Full of sincerity, Baizi naturally has no reason to refuse. Of course, he is also very clear that the fundamental reason for the premium price of the elf house is because he is confident that it will not lose money at all. With the backing of the alliance, channels and professional jewelers for secondary processing, and supplemented by publicity, there is no need to worry about returning profits. Baizi has nothing to complain about. Because he has no channels for this at all, and the price given by elf house is indeed full of sincerity. Why not do it for a win-win situation? However, this win-win is based on the premise that Baizi did not continue to sell other natural colored diamonds in his hands. Otherwise, it is not rare, and naturally it will not sell for a high price. After exiting the gate of the elf house, Baizi threw a note with a string of communication numbers into the trash can by the roadside. Subsequently, the goal is to find the leasing company under the name of the Silver Group. Money cleared the way, and quickly settled on a VIP training venue in the southeast corner of the city, and drove to the destination in person under the ardent service of the staff. The venue is very empty, located outdoors, but it is well enclosed around, and not only has various types of small training grounds, there is even a very large swimming pool in the center. However, unlike those public training venues, such a VIP deluxe training venue requires payment. The price is also very expensive. It takes 30,000 alliance coins a day. Tisk tisk, if a trainer with average family conditions really can't afford to rent this VIP training venue, 30,000 a day, this trainer's money is too good to earn. Baizi calculated silently in his heart, and spit a few words. The black heart of the alliance. But spit it out, but in terms of quality, Baizi is still very satisfied with this training venue. Considering all kinds of elves, and even a lot of special training equipment, the rent of 30,000 alliance coins per day is definitely worth the money. Release Laplace into the pool, and release all the other elves on the lawn. Beer tilde, ow tilde, chiru tilde, woo tilde, wow, all kinds of elves appeared, and all kinds of elves roared through the training ground. The sky above also made the originally quiet environment lively. Seeing this, Baizi looked at all the elves who were playing, and showed a heartfelt smile. Unconsciously. I already have so many friends. Okay, everyone. Papa Baizi converged his thoughts, sat on the grass near the pool, clapped his palms, and after the elves were all surrounded, he began to remove the props in his backpack. Once taken out, Big Needle Bee, this is yours. Beer tilde. Zeroa, this is for you. Wow tilde. Laplace. The integration of focus mirrors, black glasses, non-melting ice and other props made the spirit of the elves slightly condensed and increased a little. Then, he squatted down, patted the ground and said, Mashado, come out, you have a share. Mile tilde tilde tilde. After a while, Mashadu poked his head out of the shadows a little sluggishly. All the elves had one share, but Cerulean, Baizi didn't give out the curved spoon in his hand, but asked for the super orb that she had been playing with in his hand. Cerulean didn't hesitate at all, and very simply handed the cat, ice-sized crystal jade in his hand to Baizi. There was no trace of sadness on his face. Gentle as water. It made Baizi, who was about to explain it, look a little stunned for a while. The atmosphere immediately rippled. But after noticing Baizi's dazed gaze, Cerulean's original reserved posture could no longer be maintained. A blush gradually appeared on the neck, and then disappeared in a teleportation. Baizi was a little startled, and immediately touched his nose in embarrassment. Really? No wonder Shinado has been at the top of the most popular men's elf list for many years. It's just Cerulean, and she already has the capital to fascinate all beings. Shook his head. Throwing away the messy thoughts in his mind, Baizi shifted his gaze and opened the system's second-level reward page. Immediately one by one, Holy Fire Seed, designated Elf 1 Wind Speed Dog, the special fire left in the place where the top legendary Ho Wang was born. After the fire-type elves take it, it can increase their potential, and there is a high probability of comprehending the exclusiveness of Ho King. The skill, Holy Fire, also has a small probability of being able to comprehend the exclusive flame on the profound truth. Exclusive flame. He had a faint hunch that his wind speed dog might not awaken the sacred fire that was in the same blood as King Ho. Chapter 95, Brand New Attitude, Blazing Sun Mode. King Ho and Emperor Yanhu are here. For full order. System, extract Holy Fire. As soon as his mind moved, a mass of orange-red flames with faint golden glow suddenly emerged from Baizi's palm. This flame is no bigger than a soybean, and it looks like a candle in the wind. Swaying. As if it could go out at any time. But this seemingly, incomparably delicate, flame was just taken out by Baizi. Ow tilde. The wind speed dog, who was lying on his stomach quietly not far away, suddenly sprang up, and instinctively let out a whimper of thirst. Although it has never seen the sacred fire, the instinct from its body tells it that this thing can make it tilde stronger. At the same time, the shadows under his feet were surging like ripples, and Machado, who was wearing the cloth of the spiritual world, appeared half of his body in an instant, and stared blankly at the flame in Baizi's hand. It sensed a familiar force from this flame. The other elves also felt a little bit more or less about it, but not very strongly. Huh. At this moment, the always stable wind speed dog was a little impatient. After getting close to Baizi, his eyes were fixed on the sacred fire in his hands, and the sense of desire was almost beyond words. Don't worry, this was originally prepared for you. Baizi's tone was affirmative, and when even chuckled, he handed the small flame in his hand to the wind speed dog. Under his eye, God gesture, the wind speed dog directly stretched out his head and took a breath, and the delicate flame suddenly turned into a stream of flames, which drilled into the wind speed dog's mouth and nose. Moment. The wind speed dog froze in place as if it had been immobilized. But then, coax, a layer of golden-orange flames emerged from the wind speed dog, and instantly rose in the wind, as if it was flaming with a burner. And it went all the way down the top of the head, but it spread to the whole body in the blink of an eye. At this time, the wind speed dog is like wearing a coat of flame. Layers of burning flames enveloped it completely, up and down. Eyes like flames, temples like fire. Like a god dog born from ashes, standing on the earth. Ooh! Feeling the severe pain of the tearing and burning of the body, the wind speed dog not only did not whimper, but raised its head to the sky and let out a high-pitched excited roar. That's it. This, a real feeling of getting stronger. Every tear makes it feel stronger. Each burn makes the flames in his body more intense and surging. Become stronger. Become stronger. Become stronger. Become stronger. This kind of clear feeling every minute and every second, feeling that the body is transforming, it seems to be constantly breaking through the layers of shackles, feeling. This feeling. Really awesome. Roar. The wind speed dog gritted his teeth, his face revealed a hideous and distorted smile that did not know whether it was excitement or pain, and the uncontrollable, increasingly high-pitched roar kept coming out of his throat. It seems to be venting, but also full of celebration and joy. It can feel that, from now on, the wall of potential that shackles itself and makes it like a negative mountain has been broken. It has finally ushered in a new life. For a moment, the dots of fire around the wind speed dog gradually extinguished, and it was swallowed by its mouth. The wind speed dog's brand new posture was also completely revealed in front of Baizi's eyes. The brown eyes seemed to have flames burning in them. A faint white smoke swirled around him. The four hooves, as well as the fluffy hair on the shoulders and neck, covered with a layer of illusory texture, fluttering layer by layer. Like a surging flame, Shenjun is very good. A black pattern in the shape of a flame faintly revealed on his forehead, but within a moment, this mark and various visions around him disappeared like an illusion. Sure enough, he is quite handsome, and it seems that he finally lives up to the reputation of legendary Pokemon. Baizi smiled, and the faint brilliance in his eyes began to flash. In an instant, columns of data panels appear in the fundus of the eyes. Race, wind speed dog basic form, sunning mode. Attribute, fire. Characteristics, intimidate, igniter, unextinguishable flame, exclusive, not disturbed by the opponent's characteristics, and bring continuous burning damage to the opponent. Level, champion beginner, level 72, 99/100. Potential, level 2 god. HP, 92/90, attack, 110, defense, 81/80, special attack, 100, special defense, 81/80, speed, 101/95. Exclusive skills, Burning flame. Let the armored flame cover the whole body and slam into the opponent, and generate a violent linear shock wave at the moment of receiving. Junyan. Instantly heat the air to a rare high temperature. Then shrink. Spit out an explosive flame attack. Attack the opponent. Skills. Speed, burnout, howling, resurrection, playful, help, fire wheel, crush, revenge, high-speed movement, stare, flash charge, jet flame, fire fang, lightning fang, spirit fang, sunbeam, close combat. Close black lens bracket. Inherited skills. Morning light, dangerous clash. Prop, claw of preemption. Open black lens bracket status. Perfect close black lens bracket. Introduction. The wind speed dog reborn from the ashes has awakened the pure flame that is exclusive to him. It is an inextinguishable flame that burns everything up. In the blazing sun mode, the power of fire attribute moves will be increased by 20%. Not bad, it's almost a rebirth. Looking at Fengsugo's brand new data panel, the corners of Bai Zi's mouth rose slightly, and he couldn't hide his joy in his eyes. The increase in level is still second. The key lies in the improvement and enhancement of its potential, characteristics and even exclusive skills. The potential of the second level gods is enough to match or even surpass most of the lower level legends. The exclusive characteristics of the inextinguishable flame are almost equivalent to the characteristics of the white dragon Reshiram, an enhanced version of the whirlpool flame. The two exclusive skills are also super powerful killing moves with both long range and melee combat. Oh, plus the extra blazing sun mode that can increase the power of fire attribute skills by 20%. It can be said. Today's wind speed dogs, apart from their lower potential, are really not much worse than those high-ranking legendary elves. All in all, Bai Zi is quite satisfied with this. This has completely exceeded his expectations from the beginning. Wu tilde. The wind speed dog, whose spirit was reborn, came close to Bai Zi, lowered his body, put his big furry head against Bai Zi, and rubbed it carefully, his eyes full of wetness. 0. Ask for flowers. You're getting stronger again, wind speed dog. Bai Zi smiled and hugged Fengsudog's drooping big head, and rubbed it twice like a plush toy. That's when you let go. Step back slightly. With a look of anticipation in his eyes, he said, let's try the new power you got, Just that obsidian target, use the least powerful Junyan. At the same time as Bai Zi was testing and observing the new abilities of the wind speed dog. Kanto region, chirp tilde. In the middle of a crater, Hu, wrapped in colorful light, went straight into the sky, cast his gaze to the southeast, and his eyes flickered. Is this the breath of the same origin as me? But, how is this possible? The sky volcano has collapsed in ancient times, and it is impossible to give birth to a legend that is of the same origin as me. Is it possible that some elves have successfully merged the secondary sacred fire that I left unintentionally? 0. Similar to that of Emperor Yan. It's not right. Being able to reach the level of the same source of breath as mine, it is clearly the performance of the primordial fire that could be bred. This is confusing. There is a younger brother, sister, in this seat. At this moment, Ho-Oh was really at a loss, and had no idea what was going on at all. Good half sound. When King Ho, who finally recovered, was about to go to investigate, he found that the breath quickly dissipated, but after a while, it had completely disappeared without a trace and could no longer be traced. Feng Wang suddenly twitched the corners of his mouth. After thinking for a while, he still fluttered his wings, moved towards the general direction of the southeast, and quickly pursued away. And at the same time, the Emperor Yan, who happened to be active in a hilly area not far from the Golden City, also sensed this fleeting and unique atmosphere. But obviously, it doesn't have the powerful perception ability of Ho-Oh, and it seems to have misunderstood. This familiar aura, is the sacred fire given by the Lord. Why is there still life's aura mixed in? Could it be that the Lord has chosen a new messenger? Also, still like me, the same fire attribute, the messenger who masters the secondary sacred fire. And this breath seems to be much purer than the secondary sacred fire I have mastered. Yandy said that he was a little bit broken. Not jealous. There was just a sense of apprehension that he might be replaced. Therefore, after turning a bit impatiently in place for 2 laps, it also jumped up one by one, heading towards the general orientation vaguely sensed by the Golden City, rushing towards it. Chapter 96, Detection, Gifts, the Yan Emperor Who Intercepted. For full order. Golden City, southeast corner, in the VIP training ground. After some trial moves, Baizi finally had a general understanding of the 2 exclusive skills of Wind Speed Dog and the Blazing Sun mode it possesses. Burning Flare is a physical trick with a relatively simple attack direction, so it is suitable for use as a single-armed straight-up skill, or as an attack-type trick. Jun Yan is the exact opposite. The range is large and the area is wide, but if the damage radius is expanded too much, it will lead to the consequence of dispersion of power. However, as an AoE skill to sweep minions, or to perform a full coverage attack, it is just right. Overall, the 2 skills complement each other quite well. As for the Blazing Sun mode, it is not so much a form, it is better to say that this is a state skill similar to the Black and White Dragon overclocking mode. When the Wind Speed Dog enters the fire energy in the extreme operation body, because it resonates with the fire attribute in the air because of the 307, it will get a certain environment blessing when releasing fire attribute skills, so it is powerful be enhanced. However, maintaining this type of battle consumes extremely serious energy and stamina for the Wind Speed Dog. Based on rough estimates, today's Wind Speed Dog can maintain the Blazing Sun mode for about half an hour. No matter how long it is, I am afraid that it will directly lose its fighting ability due to lack of energy. It seems that it is necessary to accurately control the use of the Blazing Sun mode by the Wind Speed Dog. Baizi pondered in his heart. Immediately, habitually prepared to take out a notebook and write it down. But as soon as he stretched out his hand, he remembered how his notebook was still in Shaolin's hand. Tisk. After smacking his lips, Baizi retracted his palm, pressed his thumb down, and subconsciously twitched a silver earring that was placed on the little finger of his left hand. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after arranging the training plans for the elves, Baizi set off alone to a jewelry store in the city center that had already been reserved. Saying you're alone is a bit inaccurate. After all, Machado was still hiding in the shadows under his feet, and in the backpack behind him was the still unhatched iron dumbbell elf egg. It didn't take long for Baizi to arrive at this hair shop called Yudo Jewelry. Under the leadership of the special person, I went straight to the second underground floor and came to a room with a U-shaped workbench. Graphite funnels, exquisite abrasive sets of different shapes, high-temperature spray guns, etc., have been placed in advance. Well placed. At the same time, a wavy with a tear mole on the corner of the mouth, a female jeweler is also on standby. Being able to have such a level of considerate and thoughtful service, on the one hand, the service quality of Yutang jewelry is indeed high. But more importantly, look at the face of the alliance currency. Sir, let's get started, shall we? After the clerk left, the wave jeweler stepped forward, asking with eyes, and his tone was soft and earnest. Young and rich, handsome in appearance, willing to spend money for elves, and obviously has a very gentle personality. Although he is a little younger, he is a real diamond king. What's more, at a young age, in the eyes of these older women of the Ant generation, it is still a plus point. No problem, let's start now. But unfortunately, her wink was obviously aimed at the blind man, and Baizi's attention was all on the next work. All the others have been temporarily ignored by him. Seeing that Baizi didn't respond in the slightest, the wave jeweler's eyes flashed with disappointment. However, her professional literacy still allowed her to quickly enter the working state. Well, then please take out the metal, jewelry and matching diamonds as the main body first, then. At the beginning, the wave jeweler was quite orderly. But after Baizi took out the twisted spoon, super orb, and 3-hole cat eye, sized pink diamonds from his backpack, he couldn't hold back his calm expression. As the chief designer of Yutang Jewelry in Golden City, she may not know the super orbs that are obscure, and she may not be familiar with the twisted spoons of attribute props, but she can estimate these 3 pink diamonds at a glance. Out of its value. If it is an ordinary cut, it will be fine. But according to the bracelet design drawings she received, the only place where these pink diamonds can be used is the color matching as a bracelet embellishment. That is to say, do you want her to smash these 3 priceless natural pink diamonds to make an accessory for a bracelet? This is simply inhumane. Okay, let's start as soon as possible. Baizi frowned and reminded him that he didn't have much time, but he didn't have time to accompany the other party in a daze. Okay. Aware of Baizi's impatience, the wave jeweler hurriedly restrained his mind, God, and began to guide Baizi to take the first step 0. That is, use a high-temperature spray gun to melt the twisted spoon as the main body into a liquid and collect it. Then pour it into the prepared mold set one by one. Whoosh, it's done. At 3:30, it took almost an hour or so before Baizi finally completed the final work, the silver bracelets wrapped around layer by layer like thin vines. The embellished pink diamonds are like star flowers. In addition to the super power orb wrapped as the main body, wrapped in a hanging hollow silver flower, wrapped in. Just in terms of appearance, this is also a quite artistic luxury. Beautiful, very eye-catching. Sir, these leftover diamonds. Are you interested in selling them? Just as Baizi was admiring the bracelet in his hand, the wave jeweler on the side proposed. Oh, Baizi was taken aback when he heard the words. He glanced at the large and small pieces of pink diamond on the workbench, raised his eyebrows, and asked, how much are you going to make? 50, The wave jeweler originally wanted to haggle and quote a price, but seeing Baizi's cold expression, he immediately said anxiously, 200. 2 million. This is the highest price I can offer. Do you think? The deal. The corner of Baizi's mouth twitched, and he neatly took out the red and white alliance card from his arms. After Shao 1.7 earned 2 million, Baizi declined the invitation of the wave jeweler to go to the room for a drink, and left the store of open black lens bracket Yutang Jewelry close black lens bracket. He couldn't wait to see Cerulean's expression after receiving this carefully prepared mysterious gift from him. 10 minutes later, Baizi got off the taxi. Just when he was about to swipe his card to enter the VIP training ground. One by one, a majestic tall figure jumped from the air and stopped in front of Baizi. Emperor Yan. Baizi frowned slightly, and immediately called out the other party's name. Chapter 97. King Feng, you broke into our clan's territory. For full order. Emperor Yan. Baizi called out the other party's name. At the same time, his eyes flickered slightly, and the power of Baizi in his body instantly swept towards the opponent. 1. Race, Emperor Yan. Attribute, Fire. Characteristics, Oppression, Mental Power, Monty. Level 3 Divine Peak, Peak level 99, 99 100ths. Potential, Level 3 God. HP, 115, Attack, 115, Defense, 85, Special Attack, 90, Special Defense, 75, Speed once, 100. Exclusive Skill, Holy Fire, Secondary. Skills, Spitfire, Supernatural Power, Smoke, Hot Air, Bite, Spark, Flame Vortex, Jet Flame, Flame Teeth, Big Character Pyroblast, Destruction of Death Light, Hold, Charged Flame Attack. Open Black Lens Bracket Condition, Good Close Black Lens Bracket. Law Comprehension, Fire Element 5%. Introduction. The original Entei who set foot in the realm of the gods, but because it was revived and transformed by King Ho with the help of the divine artifact, Holy Fire, Secondary, it was difficult for him to comprehend the laws for more than 150 years. No malice. Feeling the feedback from Baizi's power to distinguish between good and evil, Baizi felt relieved. And followed. There was a trace of contemplation in his eyes. Emperor Yan's level has obviously reached the end of the third-level god, but his understanding of the laws of the fire element is only 5%. You must know that his Mashado is only the first level of the third-level god, but his law of the fighting element is only 5%. Comprehension has already reached 30% PS2. It is 6 times that of Emperor Yan. It seems that the effects of this, law artifact, and, law blood, should be very similar. As for usage. In Baizi's mind, he recalled the legend of the 3 holy beasts being resurrected and empowered by Feng Wang 02, and his eyes flashed a ray of thought, compared with the wind speed dog, should it be used for transformation and... Of course. The differences between the two also need to be considered. Although they are all sacred fire seeds, after all, the one used by Emperor Yan has the word secondary marked on the back. And just when Baizi's thoughts were flying. But Yandy slightly tightened his brows. Disappeared. The breath that it sensed before has disappeared without a trace, and the last aftertaste of this breath happened to meet this kid. To know. This kid himself is suspected to be the Rainbow Warrior, chosen by the Lord, who has been contaminated with the purity of the sacred fire. And now what he is looking for is also the New Ho-Oh messenger, who is also suspected to be related to the sacred fire. There is no connection between the two, right? Or the fire breath it sensed before. In fact, is this kid who got the rainbow feather, given by the Lord again, and then used the fire aura he was contaminated with. But shouldn't it? Although the Lord often bestows the selected excellent trainer, rainbow feather, as a token. But it is impossible to give it again and again. You must know that this rainbow feather is a miracle feather that contains the power of divine fire revival no matter what, and the process of stripping it also requires depletion of divine power. It is a gift to give one. Where is the reason for repeated gifts? Impossible. But if not, what is the reason? For a while, Emperor Yan was a little puzzled. Human. He pondered in his heart, although he felt that Baizi might not really know anything, Emperor Yan decided to ask. At this moment, its voice is full of coercion and solemnity, and the hair all over the body is automatic without wind, and it is full of force. But then, that's when it's finished. Chirp tilde. Accompanied by a familiar sound of phoenix ming from a distance in the sky, a rainbow-colored feather that shone with 7 colors of light slowly floated down and landed in Baizi's palm. Emperor Yan. Emperor Yan was speechless. I just thought in my heart that it is impossible for the Lord to give the rainbow feather, repeatedly, but when he turned his head, his own Lord ran over and slapped the face like a consonant, to tell the truth. It feels a little bit, irritates the little heart. Huh. Baizi, who was on the side, was stunned when he saw this, glanced at the rainbow-colored feather in his hand, and raised his head subconsciously, but there was no trace of King Ho, leaving a rainbow bridge in the sky and slowly dissipating. Sent another rainbow feather. Does this thing have supplements? Is the after-sales guarantee so intimate? Baizi's face was strange, and while he was secretly slandering, he gradually put on a smile. After all, who knows, this rainbow feather is really a good thing. Ho-oh, it's really a good bird. Heart sigh. Baizi took out the small box where the rainbow feather was stored before, and placed the rainbow feather. Only then did he turn his head to look at the Yan Emperor, who seemed to be a little sluggish. He frowned and asked, Emperor Yan, what's the matter with you stopping me this time? Is it because of Mashado again? Baizi's voice fell flat. Emperor Yan saw ripples in the shadow under his feet, and at some point, Mashado, who had transformed into a full-strength form, emerged from his body. The small fist, burning with yellow-green fireworks, clenched fiercely, surrounded by faint energy. Such an attitude. Emperor Yan has no doubts. As long as it doesn't say a word, that Mashado, who was still a little stunned in the face of them before, will not hesitate to kick his forehead with a deadly kissing leg that is an exclusive trick. But how can it do so? It's just a subordinate legend. His master had just passed by, and he obviously had a tacit attitude. Is it difficult for him to be a subordinate and dare to lift his hooves? No, no, no. Thinking like this, Emperor Yan hurriedly put on his head and said, Masado's own will is the mainstay of its own. I'm here today. Just passing by, just take a look. Huh. Baizi's expression was stunned, but when Mashado heard the words, he shrank his head succinctly and got back into the shadows again. Cough. Human, I look forward to your growth. It was a little embarrassing to be stared at by Baizi's eyes. Therefore, after leaving a nonsense of unknown meaning, Emperor Yan turned his head and jumped high and ran towards the distance. As for the question about the holy fire and the new messenger. Also ask a hammer to ask. Rainbow feather, disappears as it goes. This kid is definitely the illegitimate son of the Lord. Hammer it. Emperor Yan spit in his heart. It quickly disappeared from Baizi's eyes. Baizi, is this gone? He went to the Golden City to stop me on purpose, just to tell me some nonsense about, expecting my growth. It was the same time before in the outskirts of Q City. After hesitating to speak, grinding and chirping, and then leaving 2 words of unknown meaning. These legends are all such virtues, right? Could it be that you thought that such a posture would be very handsome and forceful? But that's not the case with the family's lord, King Feng. This Emperor Yan. I'm afraid my brain is a little sick. Baizi finally came to this conclusion, shook his head, sighed with pity, and swiped the electronic lock stuck outside the training ground. Open black lens bracket D. Dear Trainer Baizi, welcome back to the training ground / close black lens bracket. At the same time. Skyrim. King Feng, who was wrapped in golden light and brought flying rainbows, swept across the sky and headed back towards his residence. The wind speed dog with a stringent breath can be full of Emperor Yan, but how can it be full of top legends like King Ho, who is almost on the top of the world? Naturally, at a glance, the general situation of the wind speed dog is broken. Is it a coincidence that a ray of sacred fire was merged? Moreover, it was not assimilated by the power of the sacred fire, but did it comprehend its own flame? Yes. Feng Wangyu took 307 to appreciate, it is much stronger than Emperor Yan and his descendants. As for the origin of this original, sacred fire, Feng Wang did not intend to investigate further. The world of elves is vast, and the mysteries in it cannot be exhausted even if it is the existence of an ancient one, so why bother? The wind speed dog can have this opportunity, that is its creation. Take a look at it with curiosity, and you can know it. Feng Wang is not like his old friend's dream, he likes to go deep into everything, and he is very curious. In his view, that would be too tiring to know. He was already very tired just by dividing the phantom body, to deal with the direction and stability of the airflow around the world of the elves. When I have nothing to do, I have to take care of the people with destiny. Where can I find the time to find out? Don't you sleep well at that time? Is it not good to understand the power of the law and try to break through the field of creation? Right in mind. The stratus cloud directly in front of Ho-Oh suddenly surged up, and the rolling cyclone seemed to cover the sky. Under the faint shadow of the shadow, a slender dragon shadow coiled and soared, looming in the clouds and mist. Immediately. Roar. Accompanied by a roar of dragon roars that shocked the world, the dark dragon head slowly protruded out of the huge hole formed by the turbulent and frantic airflow. Ho-Oh, you broke into our clan's territory. PS1. Rule Comprehension. Level 3 God 1% approximately 59%, Level 2 God 60% approximately 89%, Level 1 God 90% approximately 99%, God of Creation 100%. PS2. Supplement. Mashado Law Comprehension. Fighting Department 30%. Chapter 98. Deliberately provocative cracking seat. Iron dumbbells hatched at this moment. For full order. Your clan's territory. Hearing this, King Ho was instantly annoyed with laughter. Don't say that these two places have been under my control since ancient times, even if they are other areas, as long as the atmosphere below the stratosphere of the fairy world is all within the jurisdiction of my clergy. You should know, the little girl of the crackling Seat clan. So. Can I think you're provocative? Between the words, a layer of fireworks shone with iridescent brilliance from Ho-Oh's body surface. Although tight is only a thin layer. Like a halo. But with the rise of this layer of rainbow-colored flames, the terrifying high temperature suddenly made the air around Ho-Wang thickened, and the space turned into a distorted scene. The terrifying scene was accompanied by an aura that gradually spilled out. Prove that this top legend in the Kanto region is no joke. Hey! The dark dragon snaked its body and climbed the slender dragon body completely out of the stratus. With the bright yellow pattern and the bright red water chestnut against each other, it showed the meaning of dominance. At this moment, it was only the black-skinned shining Kizakuza who was different from his kin after hearing Ho-Oh's final warning words. A wanton smile suddenly appeared on his face. Provocation. Challenge. Challenge. Different from Ho-Oh, the black Kaikongza with a stern but beautiful voice repeated these two words, and the curvature of the corners of his mouth became more and more conspicuous. Not bad. After a while, she suddenly raised her head, and her voice as quiet as Pingu was filled with the most obvious fighting intent. I admit, I did intend to provoke. But I'm not malicious, I just made a breakthrough. To see the gap between myself and the top legends. Quote. King Feng didn't speak, but his expression darkened little by little. Crackle, like dead wood burning, the atmosphere seems to be ignited, and wisps of white smoke rise out of thin air. Find me when you have a breakthrough. Good, good. Do you think that my strength has been greatly reduced after I separated from many phantom bodies, and you want to use me as a soft persimmon? Then let me tell you, your wishful thinking was wrong. The sound of Ho-Wang's anger and laughter resounded through the sky. Originally, he didn't intend to make a big fight, he just prepared to force back. But this little girl from the cracked space clan is so ignorant. Is the retreat of the land as cowardice? So, good. Just as you wish. Chirp. As the screeching sound like a cloud-piercing cracking stone suddenly rose, the layers of colored flames wrapped around Ho-Wang's body suddenly burst into light. And then, whoosh whoosh whoosh, whoosh. Skyrim. Countless golden flames suddenly surged in all directions, turning into streams of light across the sky, and all of them submerged into King Ho's body. In an instant, the whole body exudes golden light, like the momentum of a golden phoenix made of gold rising, and the illusory law phantom looms from behind him. This is a sign that Hu is going all out. And then, the golden phoenix king, who was wrapped in layers of rainbow-colored flames, was enveloped by the azure-blue energy arrogance that climbed up around his body, tearing apart the sky, and galloping fiercely towards the black rift seat. Holy fire plus divine bird slam. Roar. The black fisher seat was not surprised but delighted at this. The dragon body twisted like a long rope, and the layers of blood like red light climbed up. Under the layers of green light, bright yellow streamers suddenly rose. Next second, the body that was suddenly tensed up like a sharp arrow, heading straight towards King Ho. Reverse scale. The finishing touch. Hong Yi Shenbird and Light Arrow confronted each other head-on, and after a short stalemate, it suddenly exploded. Stratus reversed. The atmosphere roars. Moment. The dazzling and terrifying energy fluctuations shook almost half of the Kanto region. Golden City. It turns out that, deep inside the VIP training ground, Baizi stared into the sky, and a wisp of clarity flashed across his eyes. Before, he naturally saw the golden streamer that spread across the sky. And, after the power of Baizi was operated by ghosts and gods, he actually found out the data panel of this thing, race, Ho King Phantom Body. Attribute, Fire Flying. Characteristic, Pressure Regeneration Monty. Level, Level 1 God Peak, Peak Level 118, 99 100ths. Combat Strength, 2nd Level God Elementary. Exclusive Skill, Holy Fire. Open Black Lens Bracket Skill, Slightly. Close Black Lens Bracket. Authority, Airflow Incomplete, Only Part. Status, Spiritual Body. Introduction. A top legend in charge of destiny and the flow of the atmosphere, one of the phantoms divided by King Ho, responsible for regulating the atmospheric balance in the sea area west of Shanao. This is an attribute panel that is completely different from the previous investigation of the Hokage. The potential column on the panel disappeared, the 6-dimensional column also disappeared, there was no law comprehension column, but the combat power column was added, the authority was only airflow, and it was still incomplete. As for the state, it directly reveals the essence of its spiritual body. This is the phantom of Feng Wang. Also part of its division of power. Baizi finally understands what the label of King Feng's main body means, and also understands why the power of King Feng's body is not complete. There are more than hundreds of streamers before. 1. It is a phantom body. And how much will it be weakened by the need to differentiate so many phantom bodies? Baizi does not know. But since the differentiated phantom body shoulders the heavy responsibility of balancing the atmosphere, what is the reason for Ho-Oh to recall all the phantom body? Is it? What kind of powerful enemy did King Feng encounter? This thought flashed through Baizi's mind. And the next moment, as if to prove his guess, the roaring sound and the energy light waves almost materialized from above the 9 heavens, agitated. It really is. Baizi's pupils shrank fiercely. It was always just speculation before, but now, he has the confidence of 7 or 8 layers to be sure. I am afraid that some powerful enemy has stepped into the Kanto region and collided with King Feng. Who will it be? There are only a few top legends who can wrestle with King Ho, and if you exclude some who can't fly, there will be even fewer. Dialga, Palkia, Splinter Seat, Zekrom, Reshiram, or... Baizi guessed like a brainstorm, and after a while, he restrained his thoughts, shook his head and said, forget it, it's none of my business anyway, it should be the Kwantung Alliance that deserves the headache. Baizi, don't worry, one day I will become so strong. Cerulean, who was beside him, also said in relief. Subsequently, she raised her light white left arm, and with a slight swing, the chain on her wrist slowly grew bright. How is it? Does it look good? Of course. It's beautiful. Baizi's answer was neat and tidy, and his eyes were full of admiration. The already beautiful and lovely Cerulean was paired with the super-skilled bracelet he was preparing, and they became even more dazzling. And, after Baizi's forging, it not only preserves the superpower orb's ability to increase the power of superpower system skills, warm and strengthen spiritual power, and enhance the perception and perception ability of superpower attribute law factors. It has changed from passive contact props to controllable operational augmentation props. Not only can Cerulean directly use the bracelet to absorb and utilize the power of the super orb embedded on it. It is also possible to selectively cut off parts, or even affect all the abilities of the super orb. Use it as you want, use whichever you want, and don't need it at all. It can be said. In the innate, the defect, that is not a defect of the super orb, has been completely eliminated. Thank you Tilda. Cerulean smiled shyly, and put her palms in front of Yu Hung, good jow. Then, she suddenly looked forward, and a warm touch came from Baizi's face. This. Baizi was a little stunned. Looking at the little girl in front of her who was shy but her eyes didn't evade at all, she didn't know what to say for a while. And right now, in the one-shoulder backpack that he carried close to him at any time, at this moment, a white light suddenly appeared. This is it. Baizi's eyes lit up. Immediately afterwards, as if thinking of something, he hurriedly opened his backpack and took out the hatching device of the shiny iron dumbbell elf egg inside. Sure enough, the shiny iron dumbbell fairy egg in the hatching device has completely turned into a luminous body. Seeing, it is about to hatch at this time. PS1. To add, Hwang rule comprehension. Fire element 99%. PS2. Here, SA preview in advance. The appearance of this black rift seed is necessary, and it will bring benefits to the protagonist Hehe. And GT. And LT winking face tilde spear. Chapter 99. The Born King. The thirst for iron dumbbells tilde please order all. Baizi hurriedly took out the elf egg from the incubator. Just getting started. A burst of intense white light erupted on the elf egg. Immediately afterwards, there was a cracking sound of click, click. One only has a silver, white body, pale yellow claws, and a red one-eyed small iron dumbbell appeared in his arms. Although he was just born, he only had the thickness of Baizi's forearm, but the little guy's weight was no longer light, at least 30 to 40 kilograms. Right tilde. The small iron dumbbell in Baizi Zhang rolled over, blinked his big eyes, and opened it slowly after a few seconds, looking at the world and the man in front of him curiously. Quite a while. His eyes were curved like crescent moons, leaning into Baizi's arms, twisting up and up like a coquettish. Welcome to this beautiful world, iron dumbbells, please take care of me in the future. Baizi smiled softly, and began to care for the iron dumbbells with his hands. While using Baizi's power, he began to investigate the attributes of the little guy. An unseen radiance flashed in his eyes. In the next second, the attribute panel of the small iron dumbbell appeared in Baizi's eyes. Come one by one. Elf, iron dumbbell, silver and white flash. Attribute, steel, super energy. Characteristics, body of eternal purity, heart of steel, exclusive trait, immunity to steel attribute moves, and improves the resistance of your own attribute moves. Open black lens bracket level, beginner level, level 5, 0/100ths close black lens bracket. Potential, level 3 God, extreme. HP, 40, attack, 55, defense, 80, special attack, 35, special defense, 60, speed, 30. Common skill, crash. Genetic skills, iron hoof light, metal claws. Introduction. The silver-white flashing quasi-god iron dumbbell, the natural king of the race, is the ultimate talent that the entire elf group may only give birth to, with innate supernatural power and resistance. Have genetic skills. Baizi was stunned when he saw this, because as far as he knew, ordinary iron dumbbells should have no genetic skills. Perhaps, it's because of the born king. Touching, bah, Baizi just thought for a moment, and quickly put the matter behind him. Forget it, think so much about what to do. He stretched out his hand and stroked the iron dumbbell body twice, feeling the cold and hard touch, and suddenly smiled with satisfaction. Newborn elves basically need to do some simple nursing work. Generally speaking, you only need to wash with warm water, and then feed some milk to supplement nutrition. Certainly. If you are like some fire-type elves who hate water, you can also buy some special sterilizing sand to give your newborn baby a sand bath. However, iron dumbbells are obviously not so delicate, just wash them with warm water. After all, as a quasi-god of the steel system, Xiaojia, guy is very skinny. Said naturally, said so. But Baizi could be so careless because of this. Cerulean, go get some milk from a large milk tank, and then use a mixer to break these eggshells, mix them up and stir them, and then help to heat them to room temperature. After cleaning, washing, he told Cerulean while taking out a small metal jar that looked like a weight. Reach, hand to unscrew. Inside is a layer of mercury-like liquid metal, flickering with little white light under the sun's rays. This is a steel-type item, metal, membrane, but it is still unprocessed. And because the interactive evolution has not yet been disclosed, the metal, membrane, item is mostly used to carry, to enhance the power of steel attribute skills. However, Baizi also knew another, more extravagant way to use it. He poured the liquid from the metal membrane, slowly, and poured it onto the surface of the iron dumbbell. Hand pressing, twisting, moving, up with a clockwise force. Metal membrane is rich in steel attribute factors and various minerals associated elements, which is an excellent supplement for the steel attribute elves. And if it is absorbed by smearing, it can greatly improve the toughness, hardness and resistance of the finished, steel skin. Certainly. The degree of absorption varies, people. Method and timing are also important. Just like now, the iron dumbbells of young children in the developmental stage are the most energy-absorbing period, and supplemented by Z's unique massage technique, the utilization rate of this metal membrane is at least 90%. Above. Don't think that 90% is less. In fact, in the wizard world, the utilization rate of attribute items reaches 70%, which is already recognized as a super efficient utilization rate. 90%, that is the realm only the top breeders in the industry can reach. And the reason why Z can have such high efficiency. In addition to his intermediate cultivation ability, what is more important is that his spiritual power, which is about to break through the eyebrows and fully awaken, allows him to pinpoint the energy point under the iron dumbbell and iron skin with great precision. Make him do more with less. You are carefully caring for the iron dumbbells, you have gained a little, the training skill experience value +3, the proficiency of massage techniques, the degree of proficiency has increased, and the mental strength has been slightly improved. You are carefully caring for the iron dumbbells, you have gained a little, the training skill experience value +3, the proficiency of massage techniques, the degree of proficiency has increased, and the mental strength has been slightly improved. You are caring for the iron dumbbells carefully, you have gained a little, the training skill experience value +3, the proficiency of massage techniques, the degree of proficiency has increased, and the mental strength has been slightly improved 0. Ask for flowers. And the other side. According to Z's advice, Cerulean manipulated her superpowers to take out a specially stored large milk jar of fresh milk from Z's backpack, and at the same time, she used her mind to directly roll up the eggshell, crush it, and then mix it with the milk. Evenly, pour into a slate pan, start heating. At this time, Z finally completed the massage nursing work on the iron dumbbells. He moved his sore, swelled finger, and lifted his arm to wipe the fine sweat from his forehead while heaving a sigh of relief. Although the iron dumbbell is not big, it is really not easy to massage this body of steel. Right ~A versus A tilde. Iron dumbbell was obviously enjoying this, lying on Z's lap, his huge one eye narrowed into a small red wave. 0. And after Z's careful care, the whole body, upper and lower parts seemed to be waxed and radiant, and at a glance, it added a lot of radiance. At this time, Cerulean also came over with a bowl of sticky, thick fresh milk mix. Z, it's already cooked. Thank you tilde. Z chuckled lightly, took it, then picked up the iron dumbbell, and brought the bowl to the position behind the iron dumbbell's torso. Its mouth is wrapped in this huge claws. The speed of the little guy eating is quite unrestrained. Directly hold the edge of the bowl with the claw, and then, in one fell swoop, pour the bowl of fresh milk mixture into the inlet, and drink it clean. After. There are also some who are still unsatisfied and forget to come over, as if they are not satisfied. I didn't expect you to be a big eater like this little guy. Zedian laughed suddenly, and was about to ask Cerulean to warm a jar of milk, but suddenly remembered something. He pulled open the inner lining on the left side of the backpack, fumbled for a while, and then took out the piece of soft black gold that, according to Machado, contained a rather pure aura of steel law. And when Z took out this piece of soft gold and moved it in his hand like plasticine, the iron dumbbells lying on the side of Z's arms flew up one by one, looked at Z with an incomparably eager look, and kept spinning around this piece of soft gold. Lock up. Ritter tilde. Quote. L. Chapter 100. Necrozma, who can break the defense? For full order. At dusk, in the VIP training ground in Golden City. At this time, the atmosphere was a little condensed. Because on the grass surrounded by Baizi and a group of elves, the iron dumbbells were wrapped in a black spar like a stone sculpture. 3 hours ago, Baizi finally fed the iron dumbbells with black soft gold, unable to resist the entanglement of the iron dumbbells that showed their true nature when they were born. After all, the iron dumbbell itself has the habit of eating iron. And the sharp teeth in the mouthpiece, like a guillotine, did not make Baizi worry too much about its teeth. Not to mention that this, soft gold, doesn't seem to be that hard. But what happened next, Baizi never thought of it. The moment the, soft gold, approached the iron dumbbell, it quickly climbed up the rock along the iron dumbbell's tail claw as if alive. Almost in the blink of an eye. Then the body of the iron dumbbell was completely enclosed in a translucent black crystal. Don't worry, Baizi. Cerulean clenched the solemn-looking boy's palm, and the ethereal and beautiful telepathy came slowly. I can feel the life breath of the iron dumbbells, and still growing. Nothing will happen to the 307, well, I know. Ruyi, who clenched his palms tightly, replied, with a calm tone. Although there are no superpowers. But his almost awakened mental power can also be sensed. At this time, the mental fluctuations of the iron dumbbells are abnormally active. The energy factor in the body is also constantly rising like a flame that has been splashed with gasoline, as if it has been stimulated by some kind of strange stimulus. Not to mention, he also possesses the exploration ability of Baizi's power. He is actually the one who knows the most about the iron dumbbells. However, this knowledge is also not much. Iron dumbbell, silver and white flash, fusion prism. Fusion prism. Just these 5 words, more than not complicated. But what exactly is prism? Is it the name of this black soft gold? Represents what? Is it good or bad? What's the use? Baizi doesn't know anything about it. In this way, how can I make him feel at ease? That's when Baizi stared worriedly at the transforming iron dumbbell. 9 days on. Pooh and Black Risikuza, who had already hit the waters near the Orange Islands, were separated in another fierce collision. At this time, compared with the constant burning of the body's surface, the fire of nirvana is burning, the breath is slightly floating, but the overall image is not serious. The appearance of the black fissure seat on the opposite side shows how miserable it is. The small half of the body is covered with black burns, blood dripping, scales are broken, scratches and peck marks are densely covered. But the momentum. But it's even higher than before. The pervasive terrifying dragon might even almost turned into reality. As expected of King Ho, as expected, I still need to become stronger. Black Korakuza calmly looked at King Ho, and the eddy currents in the sea behind him. After murmuring a word, he simply turned around and went straight into the sky, and soon disappeared in front of Ho Wang's eyes. Ho-Oh had no intention of pursuing him. This battle is meaningless to him, and it broke out entirely by the opponent's provocation. Not to mention, for Ho-Oh, who has a heavy sense of responsibility, continuing to fight is equivalent to disregarding the balance of the atmosphere in other areas. It is the best thing for him to be able to force it back as soon as possible. And this battle, it appears, he won. But in fact, in addition to giving the black cracking seed a wound that needs to be recuperated, he has almost become the other side's whetstone. Not only has the other party stabilized their realm, but also in the fierce confrontation, the other party has grown again. Yes. In Ho Wang's eyes, the black fissure seed of a little girl who was still an underage girl, again and again, became stronger. It's a terrifying growth rate, speed. This little guy is only 300 years old, right? His strength is already gradually catching up with us old guys. No, after this time, I'm afraid he has already caught up. Feng Wang Ren no, live with a sigh. Subsequently, he turned his head and nodded slightly towards the vortex rising in the sea below. After circling around, he fluttered his wings and flew into the distance. And as Ho King gradually moved away, the golden streamer also spread to the sky again, flying away in all directions. Below, below. See. Woo tilde tilde tilde. In the melodious low voice, a silhouette with broad wings swept past under the gradually calming sea. The moon is bright and the stars are sparse, and before you know it, the sun has set, and the bright full moon has risen into the middle of the sky. It was late at night. And the moonlight tonight seems to be extraordinarily translucent. Although many elves were reluctant, they were basically sent to sleep by him. But, although fell asleep, however, the elves still maintained a surrounding posture, surrounding Baizi and iron dumbbells in the center, and sleeping in a circle on all sides. Cerulean leaned on Baizi's side. The breath is calm, pretending to accompany Baizi to sleep. However, Baizi didn't break anything, just put the little girl's head flat on her knees, put on her jacket, and continued to stare at the iron dumbbells placed on the cushion in front of her. Time slipped by second by second. The full moon hanging high in the sky is also gradually sliding to one side. I don't know how long it took. The originally dark sky turned turquoise blue in the middle, light blue on both sides, like a piece of blue jade. Gradually, the fringe next to this blue jade was more and more than before. Brilliant and colorful, like ribbons surrounding Dongfang. It's daybreak. And as the sky turns white, Kacha, in the sudden crisp sound, the black crystal covering the iron dumbbell's body suddenly shattered, revealing the extra dumbbell's body. Terry tilde. The iron dumbbell shook his body slightly ignorantly, as if he was still a little confused. However, Baizi, who was driving Baizi's power almost all night, detected the current situation of the iron dumbbells at the first time. Elf. Iron dumbbells, silver and white flash. Attribute, steel, super energy. Characteristics, body of eternal purity, heart of steel, exclusive characteristics, immune to steel attribute moves, and increase the resistance of his own moves of various attributes. Prism armor, mutation characteristics. The damage caused by highly effective moves will be reduced by 1. 4. Open black lens bracket level. Beginner level, level 5. 0/100ths close black lens bracket. Potential, level 3, extreme. HP, 40, attack, 55, defense, 80, special attack, 35, special defense, 60, speed, 30. Common skill, crash. Genetic skills, iron hoof light, metal claws. Introduction. The silver-white flashing quasi-god iron dumbbell, the natural king of the race, is the ultimate aptitude for the entire elf ethnic group to be born with only one. After crystal, the body defense and resistance have been enhanced again. Attributes, levels, potential, 6 dimensions, skills, etc. have hardly changed 0. Only in the feature column, there is an extra feature called Prism Armor. Prism Armor. Isn't this the top legend of the superpower department, the exclusive characteristic of Necrozma, who enjoys the title of Bright God in the Alola region? Prism, from Necrozma. And many more. I remember that Necrozma seemed to have multiple forms. And if the prismatic will have the aura of the steel attribute law, it means this west is probably from Necrozma. It was left behind when the temples of the twilight were in the form of even. Baizi recalled the appearance of the prism, his eyes narrowed slightly. This may be a part of Necrozma's body. Baizi was full of thoughts for a while. Terry tilde. And after the iron dumbbell finally woke up, suddenly a violent man plunged into Baizi's arms, whimpering, as if he was talking to him. Okay 1.7 okay, it's okay. Baizi rubbed the little guy's hard head and comforted. Besides, you are a blessing in disguise. Not to mention the increase in defense and resistance, you also have a very powerful mutation characteristic. By the way, there is also the heart of steel. Baizi's eyes lit up. This feature has been ignored by him before. Thinking about it now, the exclusive characteristic of being completely immune to steel attribute skills and improving one's own resistance to various attribute moves is also very perverted, isn't it? Now with the addition of a mutated prism armor that resists a quarter of the damage of an excellent move. Be nice. This is simply an indestructible King Kong in the future. At that time, my fully grown, up-flashing giant gold monster will appear, below the same level. No, as long as it doesn't exceed too much, who can break the defense within the same rank?